At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Once this late Thursday night window wraps up in the NBA, we will have officially arrived at the All-Star break, so we'll be sure to discuss the new format we're all going to be looking at. The NBA versus the world. But that wasn't this NBA slate, not the main event. What we saw today, we got some significant college football news that affects the NFL as well. Somebody that in NFL circles, many believe could be quarterback 2 in this year's draft class, Trinidad Chambliss, is going to be returning to Ole Miss. He was denied eligibility by the NCAA. He was initially denied in court as well, but got a positive ruling in state court today, saying that one of his 2 seasons in junior college should count as a medical redshirt year, and that he is granted eligibility to play for the Rebels this year. And let this serve as a reminder that while we're about to see an underwhelming quarterback draft class in 2026. Fernando Mendoza at the top of it. And who really knows who QB2 is? If you don't know who QB2 is, there's a chance maybe there isn't a real QB2. It's an indictment on the class. If that's the story about the 2026 NFL draft class, the story in college football this year is that it's going to be the year of the QB. If you haven't been paying attention to what's returning to college football this year, buckle up, because there are several guys we would have never expected to be playing college football in 2026 that are going to be on rosters this fall. Remember the Arch Manning hype last summer? How everyone just assumed he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft? Well, that guy didn't have a bad season at Texas. It just didn't meet the lofty expectations that come along with his last name and all of the recruiting out of high school. But he's entering his redshirt junior season, and not only does he have his top receiver back in Ryan Wingo, Texas maybe got the best transfer receiver in Auburn's Cam Coleman joining the fold as well. So Wingo and Coleman and Arch Manning, watch out. Dante Moore, he was supposed to be QB2 behind Fernando Mendoza. He decides to take more of Phil Knight's money and return another season at Oregon. That's, again, a shock because he looked like QB2, but with Evan Stewart back at receiver, mostly banged up this year, didn't see a lot of him. You should be very excited about what Dante Moore can do in Eugene. Dylan Raiola, meanwhile, will be waiting in the wings. Now you got Trinidad Chambliss. Blossomed into a star at Ole Miss, rejected eligibility twice, but eventually he prevails and is going to be playing for the Rebels. In addition to the quarterbacks on half of the 4 semifinalists coming back, we mentioned a couple of them right there, Chambliss and Dante Moore. The Heisman runner-up at Ohio State is back as well. Julian Sayin, you could make a case he was the best quarterback in the country during the regular season. Ohio State was the best team in the regular season. The reason Julian Sayin didn't win the Heisman is because he simply didn't play enough in the fourth quarter because Ohio State was up by so many points, it didn't make sense for him to play in the fourth quarter. And if he was playing, for him to be throwing passes rather than just milking the clock and showing some mercy on your opponents. Think about how much fun the Michigan game's going to be this year with Bryce Underwood going head-to-head with Julian Sayin again. But how about the two teams that made the championship game? Let's not forget about Indiana and Miami. Darian Mensah transfers in from Duke to play for the Hurricanes. He won the ACC title at Duke last year. Indiana has TCU transfer Josh Hoover, going to replace Fernando Mendoza, still has Becker at receiver, and Marsh from Michigan State was a top wide receiver transfer as well. Indiana, one of the best transfer classes across the country. And Denton Day, there are so many high-level quarterbacks that we didn't even get a chance to mention yet during this. Like, let's just go through the list. And there are categories here: returning to their team and transfers. Here's the list of some more returning quarterbacks to their teams. Jordan Miava at USC. How about Gunnar Stockton at Georgia? Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina. Kevin Jennings at SMU. He started a playoff game to close the 2024 season. Damon Williams enters the portal, then goes back to Washington. Among the transfers, Sam Leavitt, terrific at Arizona State. He's now paired with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. at LSU. Brendan Sorsby, really good at Cincinnati, riding high at Texas Tech, where they got big budgets down that way. Don't know what's more preferred down there, saying guns up or saying wreck 'em, but whatever the two it is, Brendan Sorsby's figuring it out. Rocco Beck follows Matt Campbell from Iowa State to Penn State. Mid-major options, Drew Mestemaker going from North Texas to play for Oklahoma State. Byron Brown follows his head coach and Golish from South Florida to Auburn. Over the span of this segment, we have mentioned the names of 18 quarterbacks, all of whom have the chance to explode in 2026, and Trinidad Chambliss is going to be viewed as one of the stars in the sport now that he's back in the fold. So let's frame the question like this. Who is the best returning quarterback, whether it's returning to the team he was on this past season, in Trinidad Chambliss's case, or transfer quarterback as well? Who's going to be the best quarterback in college football in 2026? Who should we be viewing in the same token as being the Heisman favorite as of right now? 310-840-4910 is the phone number. You got the tallest Latino in sports talk, Mondo, taking your phone calls at 310-840-4910. Denton Day, as a lover of college football, are we overplaying? Are we overhyping the quality of quarterback that we're going to see in 2026?
We are not, and it's going to be the reason that a couple of teams decide to not go with a great option in 2026 in the hopes that they're in a position. NFL teams in the hopes that they are going to be drafting one of these guys. I mean, this is the most loaded, potentially, we'll see how it plays out. It's the most loaded quarterback class that we have seen in a long time in the sport.
And what's even crazier, when you're talking about draft gurus, the Daniel Jeremiah types, the Jordan Reed types, they've been pointing to the 2027 draft for a while now, saying that's going to be uber supremely talented. As good as the quarterbacks are, the best players in that class, pound for pound, might not play the quarterback position because Jeremiah Smith is going to be in the 2027 draft, and Colin Simmons, the linebacker from Texas as well. There's also a D lineman, what's his name, from Oklahoma, David Stone, who you should be keeping a close eye on as well, and the corner from Michigan, Leonard Moore. Next year's draft class is going to be a true all-timer in terms of talent. And this year in college football, not focusing on this from the NFL draft lens, focusing on it from a college football lens, the level of talent we see at quarterback, it's going to be nuts. But who is the best quarterback in college football this year? Who would you view as being the front runner to win the Heisman? 310-840-4910. This segment brought to you by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. NBA versus the world at All-Star Weekend is going to be an absolute flop. There's no chance this is going to work. If the players don't care, why should we? If you can't get them to care about regular season games, why are they going to care about this? Because it's pretty obvious. It's right out in the open why we arrived at this point, why this is the format. They're trying to do what the NHL successfully did last year. They created the Four Nations face-off in the place of the NHL All-Star Game, and it was great. Players cared so much that there were fights, and it was awesome pageantry. It was great to follow for a couple of weeks. So basketball thinks, oh, if that works for hockey, surely that's going to work for us. But good luck getting the basketball players to care the way that hockey players do. Hockey players don't do load management. And you might say, well, Josh, it's an 82-game regular season. We got back-to-backs. They have the same thing in hockey as well. They don't have load management. This NBA generation of load managers, they killed the All-Star game. Now, to be fair, let's be more specific about this, D-Day. This NBA generation killed the skills competition, which in turn killed All-Star Weekend. The All-Star game was never good. If we're being honest about it, the All-Star game was never really all that fun until you got to the fourth quarter. Maybe you could make a case for the 90s and early 2000s guys starting to care. Wait until the fourth quarter. That's when they're going to start to care. And they haven't seen so much of that in recent years. But the fact that LeBron never did the dunk contest, the fact that these stars feel they're above doing something that's for the fans, that's the part that can rub people the wrong way, and it makes the weekend a whole lot less fun. But everybody kind of knows the criticism is out there, the lack of care. And the criticism's so well known that you have Kevin Durant earlier this week defending himself and the OG players, the old heads, as he'd put it. Here's how that sounded.
And the whole quote-unquote loyalty thing is, I think it's overrated.
That's James Harden. Let's hear from Kevin Durant earlier this week. James Harden talking about, he's kind of proving my point right there. Oh, loyalty, that's overrated. And I'm sure he would probably think that trying in the All-Star game's overrated as well. Here is James Harden's former teammate, Kevin Durant.
Look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic now. Let's go back and look at what they do in the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're going to question the old heads and the Americans. But these two dudes out there, Luka and Jokic, they don't care about the game at all. These dudes be laying on the floor, they shoot from half court, but you got to worry about the old heads playing hard. I can read between the lines, bro. And I'm just thinking a lot of times, I'm just saying that I can read between the lines. And it's not just about you. It's just an overall topic that everybody's been talking about. You just happen to ask me that question.
Denton Day. So if you didn't understand what was being said there, his defense for guys not caring, the old heads, so to speak, is to point and say, well, Luka and Jokic, they don't care either. So do you know what the All-Star game's pretty much going to become? Because those are the foreign players, and Kevin Durant represents the best of the Americans. It's going to be who cares less. There was a South Park episode where the joke was that the only reason the kids played Little League Baseball during the summer is because their parents made them play. And it was about who could intentionally try to lose better. And that was the competition. And meanwhile, Stan Marsh's dad, or I guess it's, what's the name? Randy Marsh. Yeah, Stan Marsh's dad, Randy, would then get drunk and try to fight people in the stands. Hey, I thought this was America. Well, that's essentially what the All-Star Game's going to be. You have Kevin Durant saying, they don't care either. Don't just blame us. Come on. And the format, I don't even think most people know what the format is. Like, if you were going to give this a real go, a real try, you know what you would do? You'd say, all right, we're going to replace the All-Star Game, and we're going to have a 48-minute basketball game between the U.S. team and the world team, and that's what we're going to do. No, they're trying to salvage something from that god-awful format no one cared about last year. They're still keeping the 3-team round robin with the 12-minute games. You got the young USA stars and the US OGs and the world team. No shot that this is going to work and that no one's going to care. But to the players' defense, we'll defend the players for a second. The NBA probably should just get rid of the All-Star Game now that they've prioritized an in-season tournament and they actually have gotten some traction. Hey, we have a neutral site location. Like, what's the point of having the All-Star weekend when you have the in-season tournament, which is a neutral site and it's during the season? That's what you have. Fully embrace that. Put all the eggs into that basket. Get out of the All-Star business like the NHL did. The MLB All-Star remains the one true All-Star game that still matters, that we still have. We're taking your nominees. The best quarterback in college football going into 2026, 310-840-4910. We are streaming video live on YouTube now. Westwood One Sports Night. We got clips up there already, shorts and full-length video clips, but also we're streaming live video there too. So if you'd like to check out my sweet Orioles gear and the setup we have here and see Denton from time to time, who, his words, looks kind of like a drug dealer with his beard and such, you could check us out on YouTube by searching Westwood One Sports Night. However, and wherever you're listening or watching, we greatly appreciate that. Coming up, news today that just might have torpedoed one of the nation's premier Blue Bloods. We're just getting started on Westwood One Sports Night.
The NFL franchise tag window opens Tuesday, and this is where the offseason gets real. Pay them, tag them, or let them walk. We'll tell you the moves as they happen on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
With Trinidad Chambliss back at Ole Miss, who should be viewed as the top quarterback going into next college football season? 310-840-4910. We'll make sure we scratch the NFL itch as well, because Linnell Willingham and I were looking at NFL futures during Graham's gambling earlier in the week, and there's a team that is incredibly undervalued that is my personal favorite to win Super Bowl 61. That in just a bit, probably 15, 20 minutes. Let's go right now to Carson, who's listening in San Diego. Carson, who is your pick to be the top quarterback in the 2026 college football season?
Well, great segue, because you said value and personal favorite. For me, it is far and away Josh Hoover. Now, I'm a TCU alumni, graduated a couple of years ago.
Hey, can I tell you something real quick before you go all in on Josh Hoover? I love Josh Hoover because I was at the season opener this year at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, watching Josh Hoover ruin Bill Belichick's night.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, the thing about Hoover, now, here's the biggest part. So I was a sports broadcasting major over at TCU. So, hey, shout out to all the board ops out there. I was a radio guy, too. I worked with Hoover. He did a podcast with our chancellor. He, like an athlete, 15 minutes early. Now, he has all the exact same characteristics that Fernando Mendoza does. He's such an antithesis of that stoicism of Kirk Cignetti, and he's such a buy-in. I mean, he loves the game. He loves the program. He's a clubhouse leader. So he's from Fort Worth area. He turned down money last season to stay at TCU. He gave it one last chance. Now, offensive coordinator Kendall Briles did not do him any favors. But when he connected with, like, Tiger Best 2 years ago, with Jordan Dwyer last year, you saw glimmers of this actual true Heisman diamond in the rough. You chip away at the marble, you're going to see the statue underneath. And I think you get him into that Indiana program, it's going to be unbelievable.
Love the suggestion, and I'll further your point. You talked about it from the TCU side of things, and appreciate the call from San Diego. But now he's going into Mike Shanahan's offense, who's still around, and a bunch of Hoosiers from the title team return, including Becker at receiver. You bring in one of the top transfer classes in the country, including that terrific receiver from Michigan State and Nick Marsh. It's a good pick because, again, it's not talking about NFL draft stock. It's talking about how good of a college quarterback are you, and he's certainly somebody that's in that ilk. Let's take one more nominee. Let's go to Eric, who's calling from Nova Scotia, west coast of Canada. And I think that's right. Is Nova Scotia on the west coast of Canada? Is that right? Do I have my geography right? All right, Eric. Oh, boy. Hold 1 second, Eric. Trying to talk to you, Eric. Hey.
Get a shot at the NFL. Because if it wasn't for the umpiring,
we'll just let him go.
Ole Miss would have went to the championship game against Indiana. But I didn't call about that because I'm really peeved off, and I want to know from you people down there, why isn't Miami, Ohio, not getting the recognition they deserve? They got the best record in college basketball.
What?
And yet they're ranked number 23. I mean, it don't make any sense. You tell me why you're ranked 23.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I love Miami of Ohio. I'm glad they're unbeaten. The answer to the question is, you people down here, is that they're in the MAC. That's the truth. They're in the MAC. There's a ceiling. They're ranked. It's good. It's all fine. But if they end up being a 4 seed, what 13 seed isn't wanting to draw that 4 seed, if you will? And it's just a couple of strikes there. One, asking about college quarterbacks. And number two, and you're talking about college basketball, which I love, by the way. But number two, doesn't seem that you're listening to when I'm trying to talk. And by the way, D-Day, was my geography right? Is Nova Scotia, is that west coast of Canada?
No, it's
Or
East
am I
Coast.
tripping? What am I getting it mixed up with?
You're getting it mixed up with Vancouver, which is
British
on the West
Columbia.
Coast.
That's what I'm getting it mixed up. British Columbia is the west coast. Nova Scotia is out east. So, geography lesson on the fly here. Thought I was being nimble, but, just to cheer up our guy from the Great White North, let's talk college basketball, because there was a massive headline that dropped today, and it might just torpedo a blue blood that right now is ranked in the top 15, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Caleb Wilson has sustained a fracture in his left hand that will keep him out indefinitely. This is what we know. The ripple effects that come from this Caleb Wilson news, not going to be fun. It's going to be a headache. For one, the Tar Heels, they're not an NCAA tournament caliber team without him. But after beating Duke last weekend. And they also have wins against Kansas and against Kentucky. Their resume is going to be an NCAA tournament resume. So unless they completely go into the tank over the next 6 games, they should be a tournament team unless the committee, D-Day, decides to do with North Carolina what that college football committee did with Florida State once Jordan Travis went out. So how they look is going to be important, maybe, when 4 of the next 6 games are against likely NCAA tournament teams. Louisville, Clemson, Virginia Tech, which just beat Clemson last night, at NC State, at Duke. That's not easy. And if the committee knows that Caleb isn't going to return, that might affect Carolina's standing. Don't think that they would be bumped out of the tournament, but that might be an uncomfortable conversation or an uncomfortable discourse surrounding that team. And speaking of uncomfortable discourse, even if Caleb can return, you're going to hear from the most obnoxious crowd of people. These are the people that annoy all people who love college basketball. The quote, "It's not worth it" crowd. The "even if you can return, you shouldn't return" crowd. You know, the Darren Peterson inner circle crowd. Those people. We've seen this. We've seen guys who kind of stick one foot in but not both feet into playing in college basketball. James Wiseman, Jalen Johnson come to mind. But, Darren Peterson kind of seems that way a little bit, missing 11 of the 24 games for Kansas, and in games that he has played, only playing in a half. But Caleb Wilson isn't wired that way. Caleb Wilson wants to be there for his teammates. You know how he fractured his hand last night against 2 nights ago against Miami? He went back into the locker room. His mom went back into the locker room. He came back into the game. They did not see any fracture in the hand when they got it looked at during the game. They thought it was a wrist injury, actually. And then they went back to Chapel Hill, did some imaging on it again, and that's when the fracture appeared. Like Zion with the foot deal in 2019, where people said, it's not worth coming back. It's not worth the whole shoegate where the shoe exploded against North Carolina. It was clear for people who were around the team, Zion was a gamer. He was going to want to return, and he did. And when he did, he was terrific. Caleb Wilson's that type of guy that if he can return, he will return, and he should. But the details here are very important in terms of his recovery window. If it's just a finger that we're talking about, and it's not the knuckle or going further down the hand, it's a much shorter recovery time. Remember, this isn't his shooting hand. This isn't his right hand. This is his non-shooting left hand. Think about Kobe Bryant tape jobs when he had hurt fingers and he'd tape them together. But if it's near his knuckles or further down, that's going to be a lot trickier. You might be looking at him being out 4 to 6 weeks for the bone to heal and then a few more weeks to get back up to playing basketball. Right now, if you were to fast forward D-Day, 4 weeks from today, because February obviously is such a short month, 4 weeks from today would have you preparing for your regular season finale against Duke on Saturday, March the 7th. 5 weeks from today, you're hoping you're in the final 8 of the ACC tournament. You're talking about the ACC tournament semifinals. 6 weeks from today, the NCAA first round is going to begin. So, can he return in that window? It's really difficult to say, but it depends on, where exactly is the injury? What type of injury is it? This is somebody who completely gets the program. You should be subscribed to our podcast channel, D-Day. You should, because this is where you get the goods. If you miss any of our shows, you can find the full shows available. Just search Westwood One Sports Night on the podcast feed. We encourage people, if you don't know what to write in a 5-star review, just go to the podcast feed, and as the 5-star review, write the name of your favorite wrestler. The more obscure, the better. And we even encourage this type of behavior now that we're streaming live video on YouTube, where right now we see Goodles FN, G Noodles FM right in, simply this with no other context, D-Day, which is what makes me smile most. Mankind, Mr. Sacco, Mick Foley. D-Day, as our wrestling aficionado, how do you feel about G Noodles FM's list as our first YouTube comments? And you could be our next by searching Westwood One Sports Night and watching us live right now.
That is a great trio of wrestlers to be a fan of. I'm curious of that list, Josh. Which one of those is your favorite between Mankind, Mr. Sacco, and Mick Foley?
Mick Foley's the only one I know.
You don't know Mankind? You don't know Mr. Sacco?
No, I don't know. I don't know who the others are. I know who Mick Foley is.
What about Dude Love? Do you know who Dude Love is?
No.
Well, you're going to love this. They're all the same person.
Whoa! So, his favorite wrestler is all of them.
I mean, technically, Mr. Sacco is not a wrestler. It was more of a bit that he did with Rock the Dwayne Johnson and the Rock and Sock connection because his finisher was Mr. Sacco, a playoff of the Mandible Claw from Mankind. But, yeah, that's all the same person.
You're also missing one person.
Who are we missing, Mondo?
Cactus Jack. Mondo got me with that one.
I don't know why I'm reacting as if I know who Cactus Jack is. Great name. I know who Simple Jack is.
Very different.
I don't know who
Very different.
310-840-4910. Give us one more quarterback who might be in the conversation for being the top quarterback this year, Anthony in Illinois. You're on Westwood One Sports Night.
Well, I think it's going to be Arch Manning personally because with greatness comes experience, and Arch had that this year. Yes, there were times this year where he looked bad, like against Kentucky, Mississippi State, Ohio State, and Florida, but he also rattled off some really good wins against Oklahoma and Texas A&M. So I think he's going to build off that success next year with the better offensive line and the portal class that they brought in. I think they're built to have a successful year in Texas, and Arch Manning is going to be my number one quarterback.
I'm not going to knock it. I appreciate the call, and I've got 2 words for you, Anthony in Illinois. Appreciate you calling in. Cam Coleman. I vote for the Biletnikoff Award, which is awarded every year to the best wide receiver in college football. So throughout the year, I'm nerdy, really paying close attention to that specific position. They're as good as Jeremiah Smith is and some of the others that put up amazing numbers. If Cam Coleman had decent quarterback play at Auburn, he might be considered the best receiver in the sport. And now that he's paired with Arch Manning, you got Wingo on the other side. Look out. Cam Coleman, if you don't know the name already, you're going to find out in Austin later this year. How about we do another forward-thinking question? Who should be viewed as the favorite to win Super Bowl 61? We're less than a week removed from Super Bowl 60, and there is a team that is strangely flying under the radar that is my choice, and that's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Next year's biggest NFL story starts now.
Westwood One, baby!
We're getting the first reps of next season. Buckle up. The road to week 1 just opened on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Got to give love when wrestlers are being shout out on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feed. The X-Man official 1543 writes in, Undertaker, Kane, Steve Austin. Too basic, D-Day, or is Kane being on that list make it okay?
No, anytime you put Stone Cold on a list, that list is verified. It's validated. Stone Cold is one of my forever goats, so I stand.
And that's the bottom line. Okay. Super Bowl 60 wrapped up earlier this week. So how about we push things ahead and ask who the favorite should be to win Super Bowl 61 in Los Angeles? Because there is a team that is being incredibly slept on right now. This team has 10 teams in front of them, according to our friends at DraftKings, in terms of odds to win Super Bowl 61. Better odds than sitting at 18-1, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are our pick to win next year's Super Bowl, and they should be viewed as the favorites, not with the 11th best odds. Like, let's look at some of the front runners from this year. It isn't going to be either of the finalists. The Seahawks, they're in danger of losing too much. They lost their OC to become the head coach of the Raiders, plus Kenneth Walker, plus Josh Jones at right tackle, plus Rashid Shaheed, or all these guys, we should say, are free agents. You could lose those guys. You did lose Clint Kubiak. You could lose Kenneth Walker or Josh Jones or Rashid Shaheed or Tariq Woolen or Kobe Bryant or Drake Thomas or Jake Bobo. All of them are among free agents. So they're in danger of losing too much. The Patriots, they lean way too strongly into free agency last year. And it worked out, but that's not sustainable for long-term success. So naturally, you're probably going to take a step back. So what's the case for San Francisco? The Niners went 12-5 and won a playoff game with a vastly shorthanded roster. No Bosa, no Warner, no Mykel Williams, no Kittle at the end, plus many other depth players lost to injured reserve. Yet, here they were, Week 18, a win against Seattle away from winning the NFC West. And that's impressive. Going 12-5 in a division that featured the MVP for the Rams and the eventual Super Bowl champion Seahawks, that's impressive enough. You can make a case Kyle Shanahan should have won NFL Coach of the Year for all that he maneuvered through and still ended up winning a playoff game and going 12-5. With all the injured parties back, the Niners, they should be a dominant force. They should be the favorites to win Super Bowl 61. Bosa, Warner, Williams, Kittle even, all expected back. The one serious free agent they might lose is Juwan Jennings, maybe Kendrick Bourne. But other than that, the best players on this team, they're under contract. They're returning. And Kyle Shanahan, you could make a case, well, Josh, if you're going to say it's a big deal that the Seahawks lost Clint Kubiak, don't you have to say it's a huge deal when the Niners lose Robert Saleh to be the head coach of the Titans? Sure. But who did you replace him with? That would be Raheem Morris, who was a head coach last year, wrongfully fired, a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator with the Rams a few years ago. Won the Super Bowl in the stadium that is hosting Super Bowl 61 next year. That actually could be an upgrade on the defensive side. The San Francisco 49ers, they are the favorites to win next season's Super Bowl. They have all those great players coming back. They have they have cap space to blow, and the other top teams that are ahead of them, it just doesn't make sense. The Eagles with better odds, they are changing coordinators. They don't seem to be trending up. The Bills firing Sean McDermott. Brandon Beane, his draft history, not very good. Joe Brady, a first-time head coach, leading the way there. That doesn't seem wise. We mentioned the Seahawks. We mentioned the Patriots. The Niners, they should be viewed as the favorites to win next year's Super Bowl. But you tell me, who do you say should be the favorites? Make the case. Why shouldn't it be San Francisco? You know what? Don't do the thing where you call in and just tell me who your favorite team is. Tell me why your team, your pick, is better than the San Francisco 49ers. Better than the case we just laid out at 310-840-4910 if you want in. And as Mondo's getting to the phones, we hear from one of the best actors out there, Timothée Chalamet, is apparently in the news. Well, we're not going to hear from Chalamet. We're going to hear from Kenny Smith talking about Chalamet. That's the folks on that show always seem to deliver in terms of content. Here was Kenny Smith on his interactions, shall we say, with the great actor.
I'm not on Instagram a lot, but when I go on and I'm seeing like all of these like DMs like and like comments. So I'm looking at the comments. It's like from people I don't know. I mean, literally, I probably got 100,000 comments in a day.
Jesus!
In a day. So that's unusual. So Timothy Chalamet's on a show, and he's asking him everything about movies, and they say, "Who's your fashion consultant?" He goes, "Oh, I just look at Kenny Smith from inside the NBA."
That's crazy.
And every 15 to 30-year-old female started following me because of that. So now I never met him. I didn't know who I had never met him in my life.
That's amazing. Full disclosure, I hadn't heard that clip until right now. D-Day was telling me, you need to hear this, knowing I love movies and I love the guys on Inside the NBA, especially a Tar Heel such as Kenny Smith. And that delivered. So there are a bunch of women, 15 to 30-year-olds, blowing up Kenny Smith's mentions because of Timothy Chalamet.
I mean, not the worst demographic to be flooding your Instagram DMs. You could certainly have a lot worse. I just think it's hilarious that Timothy Chalamet has that much pull.
What is your association with Timothy Chalamet as a guy who hasn't watched a ton of movies, probably doesn't even get this reference on YouTube from Swaggy McNolegs saying Brooks was here?
Can you just read his name one more time?
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it.
There's nothing wrong with Swaggy McNolegs. It's just a hilarious name to hear you read.
I do get this from time to time. That it's just funny. Some say that this is the secret sauce with grammar school, just having me repeat the terminology. There was one time where Cam Newton, when I covered him with the Panthers, he would wear those crazy outfits, talking about fashion, after all. Maybe that's the guy I might follow my fashion with how he described. He didn't know what a fez was, so he called it a brimless hat, and he wore it because Andre 3000 did. There was one time he was wearing an orange suit that he said was inspired by Dumb and Dumber. And the word, he calls it the Drip Chronicles. That's what he called it, drip. It's his drip. And David Tepper was wearing like one of his Cam Newton-like hats, the Panthers owner. So I remember asking Cam, like, what do you think about David Tepper's drip? And I said it just like that. And Cam, in the middle of the presser, was like, hold a minute. Can you say that one more time? And that went mega viral. So I'm sure we can find that. But anyway, Cam Newton. That's my answer. Is
that your style icon?
That's it. That's
I would
my
love
style icon.
I don't even know. First of all, I would love to see you dress like Cam Newton. But we had to fight you just to wear a beanie on the show once. I don't know that we can call Cam Newton your style icon.
Beanie Josh isn't making an appearance unless Beanie Josh is a character. It is feedback I was told by a noteworthy broadcaster that I will not put on blast in this context on this show because it would sound like a name drop, who said, listening to you sometimes, I don't want NPR Josh. You sound like NPR Josh sometimes. I want Conspiracy Josh. Can you give me Conspiracy Josh? And
I feel like you should name drop this person. That's good quality advice.
I'm thinking about getting like a tinfoil cap for the YouTube channel and for X. So when Conspiracy Josh makes an appearance, or you guys could call me out when I'm being too NPR-y. We can get like a sounder that sounds super pretentious and we go pinky finger up. Oh, NPR Josh.
You can just go get a cap. You don't need to buy it. You just go get some aluminum foil and shape it to your head.
Hold on 1 second. You're sideswiping the question, though. What is your familiarity with Timothy Chalamet as somebody who has not seen Shawshank Redemption?
I know that I have seen Shawshank. I just don't understand the references like that. I know that
Brooks was the guy who hung himself, spoiler alert, like the old man that was sweet, and he couldn't make it in the real world, and he wrote Brooks was here in his
I've seen
middle
the movie
house.
once, so I don't have those bulls. Chalamet's based AF. I know him from joining College Game Day and being a blog boy and sitting courtside with the Knicks and basically living all of my fantasies in real time. He got to do Dave Bautista's Batista entrance on the set of Dune in front of Dave Bautista.
So have you seen one of Timothée Chalamet's movies?
He was in Interstellar for a little bit. I know that's a cop-out, but I have seen that one.
So no Lady Bird, no Call Me By Your Name, no Marty Supreme, no Dune?
I need to read the book. I have the book of Dune behind me, so that's on my reading list. Once I read the books, I'll watch the movie.
Tell us who you think the favorite to win next year's Super Bowl is. Tell me why it's a better case than the San Francisco 49ers. 310-840-4910 if you want in. 310-840-4910. In addition to that, even though the Olympics have been going on for nearly a week now, the main event of the games began today. And that is next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
We're fielding calls for next year's Super Bowl favorite. I say it's the San Francisco 49ers, even though they have the 11th best odds. What do you say? 310-840-4910. Let's go to Columbus. Patrick is there. That might be the place that I think next year's Heisman Trophy winner resides, given how good Julian Sam was this past year. But that's not the question I'm asking. I'm talking about Super Bowl 61. Patrick, who would you nominate that's a better choice than the San Francisco 49ers?
The team I'm going to go with, and I only have one real reason for this, and that is the Green Bay Packers. And the reason is what day is the Super Bowl going to be next year?
I don't know. Tell me.
It's a very special holiday. It's Valentine's Day, and who is the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers?
Oh, you've got it all figured out. You know what this is like?
Jordan?
Let me tell you something. This is brilliant. This might be the caller of the night, Patrick in Columbus, because you know how the NFL put out that graphic right before the start of the year, and you got Bo Nix, and you got all the semifinalist quarterbacks that are near the front, and there's Drake May and Sam Darnold front and center. It almost seems like the script writers knew. And also, I happen to think that Matthew McConaughey and Bradley Cooper were making really good points when talking about football being a ploy just to sell food in those Hulu Eats ads. I think they're on to something.
Yep.
And maybe the Green Bay Packers, with the Super Bowl being on Valentine's Day, might be the perfect vehicle to sell Super Bowl 61. Get Jordan Love playing on Valentine's Day. I think you're all over it, Patrick. I think you figured it out.
Everyone loves love, don't they?
That's it. That's right. Appreciate the call. As the halftime act this year said, love is more powerful than hate. Speaking of the halftime show, we do have some news regarding potential halftime show acts for next year's Super Bowl. But no, we're not talking about who's going to be the halftime act as of right now. We're talking about who's going to win the Super Bowl. I say it's San Francisco. Carter from the Bronx. Awful accent there. Please forgive me. Carter, who do you say is going to win Super Bowl 61?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I gotta say, you got worse takes than the discount Booger McFarlane that was on the air the other night. But here, let me tell you something. I'm gonna give you answers to both your questions. Number one,
thank you.
The fact that you didn't include the Baltimore Ravens in your selection is insulting. You got the two-time MVP and Mr. Lamar Jackson coming back, and you got a brand new head coach that's collecting coaches like infinity stones. He's loading them up, and he's ready to sling the dong like nobody's business. Lastly, college football, absolute mess, top to bottom. I'll tell you right now, the quarterback that's going to save college football, there's only one person. That is Bobby Boucher and the Mud Dogs coming back for the Boyden.
That's right.
That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a tremendous call, Rackham. I don't know what we could do, D-Day, to top those last two calls. Truthfully, you guys are bringing it. We're going to get to the Olympics in a second, but I'm going to give one man an opportunity to try to top those two calls. And there's only one person that might be up to the task. And that is Mr. Positive, calling from Michigan, 310-840-4910. Mr. Positive, I hear the Ravens as a submission. I hear the Packers. I heard a case for the Mud Dogs. I apparently was called a low-rate Booger McFarland with the thickest Bronx accent you'll ever hear. Good luck trying to top that with your selection, Mr. Positive.
Boom, shakalaka, Josh. Everybody go for your dreams. Yes, it's going to be hard to beat those gentlemen. Unbelievable. They are warriors in the universe, spreading positive light. And I got to tell you, Mondo is a fantastic young man. Never give up, everybody out there listening in Radio Land. But I got to tell you, maybe it was my Lions, but I think it's going to be Josh Elvis Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Why? Because the pressure, the heat, the electricity that's going to be going through Josh Elvis Allen. He's got something to prove. They will build around him, Josh Elvis Graham, and they will build around him, and the Buffalo Bills will take the world championship. And boom, shakalaka. So that's where it's at. Josh and D-Day, the explosion, the atomic bomb, D-Day, you have got the power. I've got the power. So that's my choice. It's got to be Josh. It's got to be Josh. What do you say, Josh?
Okay, thank you. Excellent variety on all of those calls. And my pushback, D-Day, from the Ravens and Bills selections, actually it's the same thing. When's the last time a first-year head coach won the Super Bowl? A coach that's in his first year. Mike Vrabel had a chance to do it this year. Did not. So I think you have to go back to Gary Kubiak taking over for John Fox when they beat the Carolina Panthers 10 years ago, the last time it happened. And then, but that was an instance, again, where you inherited a team with Peyton Manning that was in the Super Bowl just a year prior to you being hired. John Gruden did it when he inherited a monster that was built by Tony Dungy. Was it year one that Barry Switzer won? Maybe. Barry Switzer? Was it 94 or not? Was it year one for him? Maybe double check me on that. And then George Seifert did it in 89, taking over for Bill Walsh. But again, that team had already won multiple Super Bowls. The Ravens and Lamar Jackson haven't done that. The Bills, neither of those teams have been to the Super Bowl in the last few years. So that would be the pushback. The Niners have been knocking on the door, twice getting to the Super Bowl and twice losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. Getting to the Olympic Games. Men's hockey, that's the main event of the Winter Olympics. And it started today. After a long hiatus, the NHL players are back. The biggest knock on the Winter Games is that they lack star power. The hockey players, they're the largest stars in Milan, especially with Lindsey Vonn now being sidelined. ACL first and then a broken leg on Sunday, trying to compete on it. The United States has a chance at winning gold. They looked really good in their opener today. They beat Latvia 5-1. Brock Nelson had a couple goals. Matt Tkachuk had a couple of assists. In fact, Mondo, we got this. Here's some of the United States' win earlier today, courtesy of NBC.
Here comes Jack Hughes. Hughes rounding it back off the quick behind the back pass. Tkachuk. Back to Jack Hughes. Nelson, score! Wow!
Canada is obviously the top competition to the United States. They beat the Americans in the gold medal game in 2010. Parise had the goal to tie that up in the final minute. Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal to win it for the Canadians. The Americans, strangely enough, haven't medaled since then. So you're talking about a long stretch of time that the Americans have gone without medaling. Canada, looking pretty strong today, beat the Czechs 5-0. Some really pretty goals for the Canadians. If they meet again in the knockout rounds, that's going to be a spectacle. Remember, these teams didn't like each other very much when they faced off in the Four Nations face-off. Unlike the Four Nations face-off, it's against the rules to fight in the Olympics. So you won't be seeing any of that we saw a year ago, but it can be very physical and a lot of stakes attached to it. Men's hockey being the main event and competition starting today. We'll take one more. 310-840-4910 if you want. And Barry from Boston wants in on the United States.
From Boston.
Okay.
How are you, brother?
I love it. How do we feel about the United States' chances at winning gold, especially when Canada looked just as good, if not better, than the Americans did today?
Well, Canada's always better than the Americans in hockey, but
hey, last year in the Four Nations, we had them. We had them until the championship. We had them. One of those games wasn't the championship in Boston? I think that was right.
Yes, it was. I was there.
Okay, then you should know, Barry. We can get the Canadians. Do you want me to recite the Herb Brooks speech for you? I'm sick and tired of hearing about the Canadians and how good of a team they have. Their time's up. It's over.
Them 10 times, they may win 9. Those freaking Canadians.
Go out there and take it, Barry. That's my motivation to you on this call. Come on.
They did invent hockey, so that's why the Canadians. My son is playing junior hockey in Canada right now, and he's coming down, thank God, to Foxborough, which is where the Patriots play. And we won't talk about Drake May and the Super Bowl and what happened on Sunday.
Hey, I'm from North Carolina.
Good.
From North Carolina. I live there. You won't hear a negative word about Drake May come out of my mouth. None of it.
No. Well, it wasn't Drake May. It was Drake May's offensive line.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. You and I could have done a better job of protecting Drake May than what happened on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
no doubt.
It's like, oh, God, give me a break. So anyway, we have Denmark on Saturday. We have Germany on Sunday. Denmark should be okay, but Germany, they are a pain in the you-know-what because they have some good hockey players, legitimate hockey players.
I love the scouting report.
It was
Barry,
great.
Excellent.
It was great talking to you, and can't wait to talk to you next time.
No doubt. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate the call from Boston. Sick and tired of hearing about how good of a team the Canadians have. Is that the greatest movie speech a coach has ever had, Mondo?
Wait, which one?
Herb Brooks in Miracle.
No.
Because there's Any Given Sunday where you're talking about the inches in life are all around us. Al Pacino.
No, I have to go with the Mud Dogs. Because you remember that one time when Bobby Boucher came back in the middle of halftime? And we won the
second reference this. This is the second Waterboy reference this segment. If you want to do that, I'm going to open a can of whoop ass on you because Captain Shane will show you mercy. If you want to play that game, we can play that game. Okay? I do reference that movie way too much. That is D-Day. We made you watch Forrest Gump. That might be next on the list if you haven't seen Waterboy. That might be close to the top of the list.
It's got
I've seen
the Big
Waterboy.
Show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Big Show's in it. All white.
Lawrence Taylor's giving great advice to the children in the movie, which brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack. A lot of
quality advice.
Excellent. There's a lot you can learn from that movie. High quality H2O, and the reason alligators are that angry, it's not the medulla oblongata, but instead it's because they have all that teeth with no toothbrush. Sincerely did not know that this is where we were going to end up. Sincerely. But here we are. So let me ask another question. There is a mega famous band that is already lobbying to be next year's Super Bowl halftime act. We'll tell you who that is by asking this question out loud. For all the talk about, it shouldn't have been Bad Bunny and blah, 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 blah about the halftime show. All right. That's in the past now. Who's getting the halftime show for Super Bowl 61 in LA? D-Day's got 3 options. I got 3 options. And there's one band trying to make sure they manifest it and speak it into existence. That's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This Saturday, 2 of the SEC's hottest teams collide. Number 25, Kentucky. Number 14, Florida. 3 Eastern tip on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
The Backstreet Boys are in the news, and they're already pitching themselves to be next year's Super Bowl halftime act. There's still so much talk surrounding the polarizing halftime show on Sunday that itself wasn't really all that polarizing. But then you have multiple halftime shows and all the hoopla surrounding it. But that's in the past. Let's look at next year's Super Bowl halftime act in LA, Super Bowl 61. Jay-Z, Rock Nation making a pick. Here are 3 truths when it comes to next year's halftime show. 3. And if you have nominations, 310-840-4910. Number 1, they're likely to veer away from hip-hop and R&B. And with that in mind, it's likely going to be in English next year, given some of the feedback and the discourse this year. Prior to Bad Bunny, they had Kendrick Lamar, Usher, and Rihanna. It would be wise for the NFL to spread the wealth around a little bit, genre-wise. So apologies to Lil Wayne or A$AP Rocky. That might be some of the hip-hop acts you're thinking about for Super Bowl 61. It's not going to be the Backstreet Boys. There's number 2. Yes, they're already lobbying, but their peak was a little too long ago. Like, when's the last time we had somebody that, well, it's been a minute since you've been relevant? Madonna, maybe? 15 years ago, and then you had all those acts before, which after the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson situation, they just decided, give us all the old bands. Let's go. Well, let's get Paul McCartney and then bring out the Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen and the Who. Let's go that path. Let's make sports writers really happy. So, don't think it's going to be the Backstreet Boys. This opinion might also be fueled by the fact that maybe NSYNC a better choice if you're going to go that path. Just throwing that out there. By the way, one of the first concerts I've ever been to were the Backstreet Boys. What was your first concert? Do you remember, D-Day? First concert, and not, I was dragged to it. No, you knew what you were going to see. You were excited to see it. How old were you, and what act was it?
I was actually literally dragged to this one because it was, are you talking like big concert? Not like a school, not like a goofy school concert?
No, like requires tickets and is an act. Yes.
Well, so this does not meet those qualifications, but I still feel like it counts. I went to a presidential inauguration that had Springsteen, Beyonce. I was dragged out, but let me tell you, Josh, I attended that bad boy.
Yeah. My first concert was in the summer of 2000. It was on the day of my 7th birthday, D-Day. The opening act was Aaron Carter, right when Aaron's Party came out, because nobody can do it like Aaron can. The headliner, fresh off the Oops, I Did It Again album, Britney Spears. That was my first concert. Aaron Carter, Britney Spears, my 7th birthday in the summer of 2000. My second concert was opening act, a little-known singer-songwriter at the time by the name of Alicia Keys, who just had her first hit, followed by Shaggy, followed by the Backstreet Boys. So, seen some bangers at the time, but they're not going to be the halftime choice. Here's the third truth when it comes to the halftime show. Taylor Swift's going to get the first call. So, whoever you nominate, we all understand it. If Taylor wants the show, the NFL's going to want Taylor. She's probably gotten the first call the last few years. She spoke about knowing the full history of the show in the Kelsey podcast. So we're eliminating her from conversation. You know how when you used to play Tecmo Bowl, it wasn't fair to play as the Raiders because Bo Jackson was that good? That is the equivalent here for this conversation, Taylor Swift. We get it. She's going to be asked. If she wants it, she's the choice. So let's assume she says no again. If it's not her, these are not the acts I would pick to win or to be the halftime act of the Super Bowl, but these are the acts I believe would be most likely to be performing in LA for Super Bowl 61. Number 1. Miley Cyrus. Massive name, lot of terrific hits, good music of late too, wide appeal, going back to a different genre, singer-songwriter genre. Second nominee, the Biebs, Justin Bieber. Another guy who's recently churned out some pretty good music. After a hiatus of doing so. Mega name, American, and there's some... Actually, he's Canadian, isn't he?
He is Canadian.
Darn it. Still, there you go. International appeal. And here, if Taylor Swift's off the board, this is the act I actually think will be the pick to be the halftime act of Super Bowl 61. Harry Styles. Great music of late as a solo act. International appeal. That's why Bad Bunny got the halftime show in the first place. Get the folks in Europe fired up. More and more into football. Maybe get some of the One Direction guys together on stage. Harry Styles, my pick. So those are the three that I think are most likely if Taylor Swift says no. Denton Day, what does your list look like?
So I have 3. I have written them down, and I've put them into categories, Josh. I have a safe option. I have what I'm calling a growth option, growth for the league, expanding its horizons. And then I have a downright crazy Hail Mary, shot in the dark, not going to happen. But if it did, it might do numbers, all right?
All right. The safe pick is?
The safe pick is Dua Lipa. Pop star, performs well. Lots of hits.
Enough? Is she big enough?
I think so.
Sincerely asking. Like, I like Dua Lipa. I do. But
she would need help.
I put her closer to the Sabrina Carpenter category that I do the Beyonce, Rihanna, like, oh, you're carrying the Super Bowl halftime show now.
I would agree with that. But I think you can get some help in there. There's just not that many other artists that are at that Rihanna, Beyonce level, unless you're going back to the well. I want some new faces, but she can She could bring in some old faces.
Well, there you go. You could go just all girl. You could go like the ladies' night halftime show and say, we're going to throw together SZA, Sabrina Carpenter, and Dua Lipa. Boom. 3 different genres, and they're each going to play a couple of songs. I hope I'm not stepping on any of your other nominations.
No, you're not. Call it like a Birds of Prey. I like the Birds of Prey in the DC universe. Call it like a Birds of Prey halftime show. That'd be pretty sick. I'm going to give you the growth one next, because I kind of tossed this around on Twitter, and I do genuinely believe that the NFL is going to get there one day. I don't know if 2026, or rather 2027 is going to be that year. Whatever K-pop artist is big, the kids love K-pop. I handed out some Halloween candy around my community this year. I don't have kids, but I just wanted to hand out some candy because I like seeing the Halloween costumes. And I would say every third kid was a K-pop demon hunter. And I had to ask my wife, I was like, what does that even mean? And she's like, it's a thing on Netflix. The kids, the youth love the K-pop demon hunters, so maybe you get a little bit of K-pop for the halftime show.
So would it just be BTS?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, well, BTS is like the biggest K-pop
Then
act.
yes. It would be whatever BTS is. You would put them on the stage, and then you get a Korean
bring
market.
Shohei Ohtani out in L.A.
Shohei?
Him doing some
exactly.
dancing.
I mean, he's Japanese, not Korean. But just get
I'm
somebody
saying we're
out
trying
there.
to hit all of Asia here. That's what we're trying to do.
Just trying to get everybody involved.
Yeah, get his dog out there as well.
But some of the
Figure it out.
K-pop songs are like massive. So like everyone would know them.
Yeah,
All right, are you
Coldplay.
sitting down for this last
I'm sitting
one?
down. Well, you know I'm sitting down. We're on video. You can watch on Westwood One Sports Nights YouTube channel in addition to X at Josh Graham Show.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't pulling a Pat McAfee and standing up. This is not going to happen. There's too much liability. It is not going to happen. The NFL would never put themselves in that. Also,
Kanye.
Jay-Z is the one in charge. Kanye West is the crazy one. If you want to shatter records, if you put Kanye West on live television, people are going to watch.
Well, it does. If you're going to go back the hip-hop route, it made sense that you wouldn't go Drake this past year, given what last year's halftime show was. But do you think if Drake was given the halftime show, that he'd be able to just put aside the Kendrick stuff and resist?
No, because he still hasn't given it up. And the thing is, there's some like underlying tendencies or some underlying issues with Jay-Z and Drake, because Drake moves sloppy behind the scenes. He's just not a nice person. So I don't think that Drake would be in consideration. That's also why Kanye is not going to get it, because Kanye is not a nice person.
Nah, here's the thing. Just as somebody who's pro-interesting, I would love it if Kanye got the halftime show, because
you'd be glued to the channel.
My God, no one has a clue what it's going to be. He might, I mean, let's just imagine when's the last time we trusted Kanye on live TV? I mean, was it him standing there next to Mike Myers sharing his thoughts about George Bush after Katrina?
Looks very ironic now.
Well, actually, after that was him going on stage talking about, I'm going to let you finish, Taylor.
But also, if you bring Kanye in, you basically solidify that Taylor Swift is never going to do it.
And the highest rated halftime show ever. We're all there.
You'd have to have 3 minutes of
Honestly,
dump.
I don't want to mix it up and get too into the weeds and try to be polarizing or whatever. If the other halftime show is really trying to do numbers,
they would put Kanye on there.
But
Kanye, he's asked for forgiveness, Josh, so we can't go that route anymore.
Turning point. Get Kanye on your halftime show if you want some counter programming. Because here's the thing. If it's Kanye on that halftime show versus Taylor, oh my God. Oh my God. If it's Taylor Swift, if we have the option between watching Taylor or Kanye live, here's the question. Why doesn't Kanye just do that himself? If Taylor Swift gets the halftime show, if I'm Kanye West, I figure out YouTube or something to do my own halftime show. Hey, you want to watch Taylor? I'm going to let you finish, Taylor. But I'm going to do my own halftime show on YouTube.
Do you want the actual reason why he won't do that?
I mean, we know.
Well, most venues won't let him perform in America.
Yeah, there's that.
That's why he does his international tour, which apparently is great, but they're not going to let him perform on U.S. soil.
Oof. 310-840-4910. Baxter's in Michigan. Baxter, what do you think about the Backstreet Boys? Oh, wait, we lost Baxter. Well, are we sure he's okay, Mondo, at least? We lost Baxter, but at least you should try to figure it out. There's an old joke that was told by the great Mitch Hedberg that anytime a restaurant says, Smith, party of four, Smith, party of four, and they don't answer and they go to the next people, well, what happened to the Smiths? How about if you want your table, you're going to have to find the Smiths. Peterson, search party of four. Go find the Smiths. We got to know they're okay.
Can I give you one
There
more
you go.
Super Bowl name?
Sure.
I think this one would do numbers. The Jonas Brothers.
I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well just do Harry Styles.
I like the Jonas Brothers catalog more than Harry Styles, I have to admit.
What about One Direction? You got to get the One Direction catalog in there, too.
I'm a Joe Bros
And-
guy.
I prefer One Direction. over
Especially their
Joe
new
Bros.
stuff with John Bellion producing. I mean, come on now.
Well, Harry Styles' stuff is better than the Jonas Brothers' recent stuff.
If he admits that his hair is fake, I would be into Harry Styles.
Or that it was a psyop when him and Taylor Swift went out that one time and were photographed as if they were dating at around the same time they both had albums out. And there's a picture of them walking around Central Park with a baby stroller, I think. And also, like, in the shot was a seal. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. Moving this program along, because there's a lot to do. The NFL draft is on the horizon, and there's one team that is more fascinating than any team to watch for in this year's draft. Never going to get past that Mondo said, this sounds like the music that they play at Hogwarts in Harry Potter. Never going to let him live that down. NFL draft talk next.
The season's over, but the NFL news never stops. Training camp hits in 153 days. And yes, we're counting. The NFL lives here on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
If you're Jay-Z and Rock Nation, who's getting the call for next year's halftime show? We're taking Taylor Swift off the board because we just assume that she gets the first call. Assuming she says no again, who would you cast? 310-840-4910 if you want in. Soldier of God writes in. Everything you are saying is, all caps, trash! And it's probably right that they're going to get selected, and I won't tune in. Here's what it needs to be. Number 1, Metallica. Number 2, The Weeknd. Number 3, Bruno Mars. Hold a minute. Bruno Mars performed in the halftime show twice. In fact, it was my number 2 all-time halftime show. Thought it was fabulous. And The Weeknd performed tremendously a few years ago in 2020. While we're talking about music, by the way, and again, your submissions, 310-840-4910, the Michael Jackson estate is threatening to sue Sexy Red. Mondo, are you familiar with Sexy Red's work?
Yeah, I don't know any songs, but if I heard it, I'd be able to dance to it.
You don't know Sexy Red's music? What?
No, not a huge fan.
You don't know Looking for the Hose on the Hood Hottest Princess album? Isn't she the one that says, well, I don't know if I can say that on the air. Well, her most known song is probably Pound Town. You don't know Pound Town?
No, but I might come back with that.
How about Ski Yee? Isn't that the sound that she makes? Somebody knows. But apparently, there was a viral video of Sexy Red producing the song Eat It by sampling Michael Jackson's Beat It. Now, we don't need to use our imagination in trying to figure out what Eat It's about, but Michael Jackson's estate threatening to sue, claiming they didn't approve and had no knowledge. Here's my bigger issue of the whole ordeal. It isn't Michael Jackson that should have the biggest problem with Sexy Red here. No. That would be Weird Al Yankovic, who actually made a Beat It parody song called Eat It. You're not a Weird Al guy?
I think they're talking about different things.
Really? You think?
So. I would hope so. I don't know that much about Weird Al, but I would hope so.
You're not familiar with Eat It?
Well, I am familiar with it, but
How come you're always such a fussy young man? Don't want your Captain Crunch, don't want your Raisin Bran. Well, you don't know that other kids are starving in Japan, so eat it. Just eat it. Come on.
What an odd time the mid-2000s were.
Well, that song came out in the 80s.
Weird Al Yankovic was doing music in the 80s? I thought he was just like a 2000s dad that had too much time on his hands.
No. I'm pretty sure that song came out in the 80s. I mean, look at how he dresses. Yeah, Amish Paradise was 96. That's my favorite because, low-key, my favorite 90s rapper was Coolio. Love Coolio. Fire up the Fantastic Voyage and Amish Paradise. Fire it up. And then when we're talking groups, then you get into Tribe Called Quest territory. But Amish Paradise was my favorite.
That's a remake of a remake, which is crazy.
A yokel boy hit me in the butt last week. I just smiled at him and turned the other cheek. Excellent work. Let's move this thing along to the NFL draft. Cue what Mondo calls chimes that belong more in Harry Potter than an NFL draft commentary. The most fascinating team entering this year's draft, the combine being next week, are the New York Football Jets. They are the most fascinating team. Since Fernando Mendoza is going to go number 1, the draft starts with the number 2 pick that the Jets own. And while it seems likely they aren't going quarterback there are 3 options among the edge rushers they are likely to take that you can make a case for any of these 3. You can make a case for Abel Reese at Ohio State. You can make the case for Reuben Bain, even though you're going to have some of the idiots nitpick him and say, well, he has shorter arms. Okay. You got David Bailey at Texas Tech. All 3 should go in the top 10. This is a tremendous edge rushers draft. So the draft starts at number 2. We don't know what the Jets are going to do there. The number 16 pick, their second first rounder that they got from the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for Sauce Gardner, that might be where they take a swing on the QB. And it's not going to be Trinidad Chambliss. All that talk Linnell Willingham and I had last night where he's saying that Trinidad's the second best quarterback in this draft. No, well, it turns out a court decided today he's going to be able to play college football at Ole Miss one more year. So is it going to be Ty Simpson, who's the second quarterback off the board? Is it going to be Garrett Nussmeier? Please get the Carson Beck commentary out of here. There is a point in the first round where there's a steep drop-off from the first wave of talent. So if it isn't the quarterback. We'll see what they do there. Perhaps the Jets try to replenish their secondary since they got rid of Sauce Gardner, as mentioned. A lot of pressure on their second-year GM, on their second-year head coach, more so on Aaron Glenn, who's not really handled the New York media scene all that well. Don't think that's that hot of a take. But the pressure, it's going to be further amplified when the Giants return to relevancy. That's one thing that's actually helped the Jets and helped Aaron Glenn, where at least the Jets could say, well, yeah, we're bad, but so are the Giants. They're bad too. We're both bad. New York football, not in a great state. But how much more uncomfortable is it going to get for that second-year GM and coach if the Giants are potentially winning the NFC East with Jackson Dart at quarterback and hiring John Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's put together a really, really strong coaching staff? You have Matt Nagy as your offensive coordinator. Did you say they gave Greg Roman a job?
As long as a Harbaugh is coaching, Greg Roman is going to be getting a paycheck.
So, Brian Callahan was just brought in, former Titans head coach, to be the passing game coordinator and QB coach. You're right, Greg Roman is a senior offensive assistant. Willie Taggart's the running backs coach there? Ooh, I don't know about that. But it's your running backs coach. So, Matt Nagy, Brian Callahan, Greg Roman, John Harbaugh. It's a lot of thoughts on the offensive side. There's a lot going on there. As of right now, D-Day, we have arrived at the NBA All-Star break. We have final scores in the league. Milwaukee 110, OKC 93. Portland 135, Utah 119. And the Lakers beating the Cooper flagless Dallas Mavericks 124 to 104. Are they doing the thing? Is that a real injury, or are they doing the thing where everybody's trying to tank, which is why the Jazz and the Pacers just got fined $500,000 by the NBA? Because do you know what they decided to do? They decided Utah benched Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. for the fourth quarter, even though they were otherwise able to compete. And then Jaren Jackson was announced to being out for the rest of the year with an injury. The head coach of the Jazz, Will Hardy, did you see his answer when he was asked why those guys didn't play in the fourth quarter? I think the question was, did you consider playing Markkanen or Jackson in the fourth quarter? I wasn't, was Hardy's answer. A succinct answer. And he went on to say that Lauri Markkanen was on, quote, a minutes restriction. Oh, yeah, so the minutes are restricted in the fourth quarter. When the games get won, the Pacers and the Jazz neither have 20 wins. They're among the bottom 6 teams in the league. Let's not forget that the Jazz were fine last year when Markkanen was rested in multiple games when he was otherwise healthy. This is just a scourge. But here's the thing, what else can the NBA do? They already made it so you aren't really guaranteed anything despite the fact you're bad. The Mavericks, they had a 1% chance at getting the number 1 pick, and they did. Come on. Washington. Wasn't Washington among the 3 worst teams last year, D-Day? You would know. And where'd they end up picking in round 1 last year?
Not number 1, like they should have been,
Picking
like they
6th.
deserved.
Well, no, that's the thing. The NBA's trying. It's just they don't care. They'd rather just have the lottery ticket rather than try to win. So at least good on the NBA for finding blatant examples of this with the Jazz and the Pacers. At least they're trying to mitigate tampering, because otherwise Another time where we get to ask the question, why else even watch these games? Why even watch these regular season games when stars on good teams don't really want to play and the bad teams are actively trying to lose games, which is why you don't play good players in the fourth quarter and now getting fined. Returning to the Trinidad Chambliss piece of this. Now that Chambliss is back in college football, is he the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy? Well, what if I told you, 30 for 30 voice, he wasn't even in my top 5 choices for that. That's next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
You're not familiar with Sexy Red, D-Day?
I've heard the noise. Does that count?
Get familiar with her work, as it seems the Michael Jackson estate is. All right, Trinidad Chambliss. He is returning to college football, it would seem. State court ruled in his favor in a hearing Thursday. So, where does he fall among the contenders to win the Heisman Trophy in college football this fall? Put on my best 30 for 30 voice here. What if I told you Trinidad Chambliss, not even in my top 5 quarterbacks to win the Heisman Trophy this year, which is less of a slight on Chambliss and more a credit to how strong this year's quarterback class is. Chambliss, with all due respect, not going to have Lane Kiffin, not going to have Charlie Weiss Jr. anymore. John David Baker is the new OC at Ole Miss. Not quite what Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. were. Don't mean that as a huge slight to John David Baker, but here's the thing. John David Baker, where did he coach last year? My alma mater, East Carolina. Had a good look at John David Baker. Trinidad Chambliss. Just think that it's not as well supported as it was this past year. Did see this comment on YouTube where you can subscribe to our channel, search at Westwood One Sports Night, and watch the show live. You can watch us in addition to listening to us. The X-Man official 543 asks, Joey Aguilar, your thoughts for 2026? Not in the top 5 list because he's not eligible to play for this year, ... yet. But because of this ruling where Trinidad Chambliss's medical redshirt year, or what could have been deemed a medical redshirt year in JUCO, doesn't count towards the 4-year clock, and Diego Pavia got the positive ruling in the same states that Joey Aguilar could be playing for the Tennessee Volunteers. That will be interesting. You probably should expect he gets a favorable ruling, and that means that Tennessee has an experienced quarterback under center, a guy that I got to know very well when he was quarterbacking Appalachian State, right in my backyard here, the mountainous area of North Carolina. Shout out to Boone, the black and gold. But also, 30 minutes from where I sit right now in Greensboro, North Carolina, the number 1 high school recruits in America resides from this most recent class. That would be a quarterback named Faison Brandon from Grimsley High School. And he is a Tennessee Volunteer recruit. So maybe it's Joey Aguilar this coming season, and then you transition things to Faison Brandon in the future. All right. Cue up the music, Mondo. I got 5 quarterbacks at the top of my list. The quarterbacks that you should be banking on to win the Heisman Trophy. My 5 favorites to to perform on the field and win the Heisman. Number 5, Darian Mensah from Miami. Mensah has the goods. He led Duke to an ACC championship. Remember all those jokes? Ha ha ha. Manny Diaz won an ACC championship before Miami did. Ha ha ha. Miami got the last lap and then stole Duke's quarterback. Awkward league meetings coming up in a few months. But he's going to be well supported. You got Tony and Fletcher back at the skill position spots. You do lose C.J. Daniels. You lose some weapons, but Cooper Barkate's going to follow him from Durham to Miami. Just a lot of weapons there. The infrastructure's in place for Darian Mensah to do very well. Number 4, Dante Moore, Oregon. You do lose Will Stein to Kentucky, but you promote the co-OC to be the full-time OC, and high potential. Didn't feel that he was one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year, but had one of the highest ceilings, which is why NFL draft nerds were drooling about the idea of him going to the NFL. He's going to be more well-supported this year than he was a year ago. Evan Stewart, not healthy this past year, will be ready for this fall. Number 3, favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. Josh Hoover, Indiana. We're talking about Mike Shanahan's offense still. There's a lot back for the Hoosiers, including Becker at receiver. Kurt Cignetti's that dude. He has one of the best transfer classes in the country, including receiver Nick Marsh from Michigan State. Josh Hoover put up numbers. Talking about the Hypno Toads and the TCU Horned Frogs. Josh Hoover, number 3 on the list. Number 2, Arch Manning, Texas. Arch didn't meet the crazy expectations last year, but he didn't have a bad year. Some are saying because this goes to reputation, this goes to perception. It's like when you hear folks say, Aaron Rodgers was terrible this past year. And then you go and look at the numbers. Yeah, is it Aaron Rodgers in his prime like? No, but it was the best season he's had since 2021. That doesn't mirror what the perception is. And sometimes that can be reality to many who don't follow up and check, well, how did it actually look? Some just watched Arch Manning in his debut this year play against Ohio State and not look good in Columbus and take that out on him the rest of the year when Texas was fighting an uphill battle to get close to the cut line in the playoff. And they did get awfully close towards the end of the year. Remember that upset against Texas A&M, for example? A lot to like. Remember the name now. Auburn transfer Cam Coleman might be the best receiver, not named Jeremiah Smith in college football. Ryan Wingo on the other side back to. There's a lot to like about the talent on Texas and Arch Manning. There's still a lot of talent there and a lot of reasons to be excited. Number 1, top quarterback, the man who should be favored to be the Heisman Trophy winner next year, Julian Sayin, Ohio State. He might have been the best quarterback in college football this past year as a true freshman. Didn't play in the fourth quarter enough. That's the reason why he lost to Fernando Mendoza. Oh, but they won Fernando beat him head-to-head. Yeah, that was after the conference championship game. Some say that this is a regular season award that we're talking about here. He has Jeremiah Smith to throw the ball to, so he will be A-okay when it comes to the weapons. So there you have it. Mensah 5, Dante Moore 4, Josh Hoover 3, Arch Manning 2, Julian Sam 1. Those are my top 5 quarterbacks in college football this year. Sorry to Trinidad Chambliss and many other great quarterbacks for not making the list. But we'll put it to the audience. Who should be viewed as the Heisman favorite? 310-840-4910. Who's going to be the best quarterback in college football this year? D-Day, how would you answer the question?
I am stunned, Josh Graham, that the wonderful, mighty, powerful Sam Levitt is not on this list. Because that would be my
I'm going to be honest. They've landed a lot. By volume, they've landed a lot of guys in the portal at receiver and running back. But I didn't love any of the guys that they landed. I recognize the names, but none of those guys were dudes. They spent so much money on the class. You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of Kentucky basketball this year, where they spent more money than anybody else, but then you look at the team and you're like, well, if you spent that much money, why isn't the team better? That's my thing. Love Sam Leavitt at Arizona State. And if you think Trinidad Chambliss had a lot of success with Lane Kiffin or Charlie Weiss Jr., then you're fair to say and appraise that it's going to be better with Lane Kiffin and with Charlie Weiss Jr. to take him to another level. You can make that argument, and I'll hear it. But are you saying he belongs at the top of the list or just belongs in the list altogether?
Both. I would take him.
Wow.
If I'm making a way too early wager, putting my hard-earned American currency on a player to win the Heisman, it would be him.
Yeah. See, do we have those odds?
Let me see if I can find them. Some of these sports books are
if
very
we do,
odd.
That might be what we get to in Graham's Gambling a little bit later on, because I'm gambling again. We can revisit that a little bit later on. NBA All-Star Week is going to be such a disaster. NBA All-Star Weekend. We can talk about NBA versus the world and the format and Kevin Durant's comments from this week in a little bit. We can do that. But the other piece of it is the big story this week is you just can't catch a break with it being at the Intuit Dome and Adam Silver having Kawhi Leonard as an alternate. He's going to be in the All-Star game or be in a commissioner selection. Like, the Kawhi aspiration story is going to dominate All-Star Weekend. It's simply unavoidable. And not just because of Pablo Torre's latest updates that he's had on the podcast this week. The weekend is being held at Steve Ballmer's Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Is Pablo Torre still trying to plant some trees across the street? That probably won't be standing this weekend. And while the NBA, again, voted to keep Kawhi out of being a starter here, even though the stats might point to him being that, Adam Silver added him to the roster. Generally, you want to have someone from the hometown team on the squad, and you're not going to have James Harden. He plays for the Cavaliers now. And it's going to be fascinating. Remember what happened during Media Day, right before the season started, where they let Ramona Shelburne ask a question and then ripped the microphone out of her hand, said she couldn't ask any more questions? And then they started calling on team reporters who were like, Kawhi, you are so tough and so good. Tell us about how tough and good you are, rather than asking real questions. Oh, and who could forget their GM that just got a contract extension, who was asked whether or not they followed the rules when it comes to Uncle Dennis and company. And his response was, Uncle Dennis knows what the rules are, Kawhi knows what the rules are, and we know what the rules are. And then the follow-up, so did you follow the rules? We know what the rules are. Got it. Understood. The question really is this, though. At the core of all of this, does anybody still care about this story other than Pablo Torre? Don't mean that as a knock. Me asking the question, don't misconstrue that as me putting a toe on the scale. Sincerely asking, because it's been 6 months. There's exhaustion with it now. We have games to actually talk about versus where it was a few months ago. And while it's clear that Ballmer cheated, here's the other thing. It didn't work. The Clippers aren't good. They don't have draft picks. They traded James Harden and Zubac away. And a lot of the reaction from NBA players or NBA fans are, you'd kind of prefer an owner trying to do everything he can to have your team win versus looking at what Utah and Indiana are doing right now, getting fined because they're purposely trying to lose. You have so much of the league that isn't trying right now that you want fans to be sympathetic. Oh, man, this guy's trying too hard to win. So it's it's weird how this has progressed, where it doesn't seem as many people care as much anymore, but that doesn't mean the questions don't need to be asked and that these people are going to be available and have to answer some difficult questions. And the Clippers aren't going to have their staffers running the media room. The NBA is going to be running All-Star Weekend, and those NBA staffers, it would be wise to not try to rip the microphone out of Ramona Shelburne's hands this time. Perhaps that would be the wise way to go about things. Now that football is over, there isn't just one sport you should be getting excited about, but two. And those are next on Westwood One Sports Night.
The NFL franchise tag window opens Tuesday, and this is where the offseason gets real. Pay them, tag them, or let them walk. We'll tell you the moves as they happen on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Football season is officially finished as of Sunday. We won't have actual football games to break down in college football or the NFL or the high school ranks until August. Please don't fill my feed with UFL commentary or spring games, anything such as that. But that means college basketball. It's a good time now to jump in, unless you're a North Carolina basketball fan. You lose to Miami following the Duke game. By the way, Hubert Davis, 0-2 in the regular season following wins against Duke. Maybe not a coincidence. 0-3 if you count when they lost the national championship game following extinguishing Coach K in New Orleans, blowing a 16-point halftime lead in that game, by the way. It's a good time to get in on college basketball. There's a lot to love within that sport. But another sport to get pretty fired up about, baseball. It's pretty much back. Pitchers and catchers have reported. Take my beloved Orioles, who welcome star first baseman Pete Alonso into the fold. Please tell me we have this sound, Mondo, because Alonso apparently is a big Blink-182 fan. And this is something that was made obvious. The sounds of baseball are so great, and the only thing that can make the sounds of baseball even better than what they already are is when Blink-182 is blaring as you're fielding ground balls. You can hear the catching, the crack of the bat. How great is that? And then Samuel Basayo is Hispanic, probably has never heard Blink-182 before, and First Date is blaring as he's hitting nukes. It's exactly what you want. This might be what could be characterized as a summer topic or a summer question, especially since we're talking about the game of summer. But is there a sport that sounds better than baseball? Like, I love basketball. Don't get me wrong, but the squeaking of the shoes, that's not nearly as welcoming to the ear as hearing the crack of a bat, as hearing the sound of a glove catching a ball. The sounds of baseball, probably better than any other sport. And in fact, we got some news today. Did you see that the ABS challenge system officially in for this year? This is another positive rule change. To baseball's credit, they've adapted. The base running rules have led to more steals. The pitch clock has made these games more efficient. I like the ghost runner in extra innings in the regular season. Hey, man, there are 162 of these. You have 9 innings to wrap this thing up. And since you didn't do it in 9 innings, we're trying to speed this thing up. That's what we're trying to do here. Little bit of urgency. Fine with it. The ABS challenge system. Have you seen a game yet, Mondo or D-Day, that's featured this ABS challenge system yet? It was in spring training last year. It was in the All-Star game a year ago. But it's been in AAA for the last few years. And here's the thing. If you haven't watched the ABS challenge system at work yet, the way you should think about this is the way you think about tennis when they're challenging something. In real time, you have to challenge, and then you go to the video monitor and you see whether or not the ball is in or out. And there's great drama to it, and you only get so many. With baseball, it's just like that. Ball or strike, the batter or the pitcher can challenge, or the catcher. And then you go to the monitor, and within 10, 15 seconds, it illuminates on the screen whether or not it was a ball or a strike, and then you move it along. So I love the ABS challenge system. College baseball. Did you know that the regular season, as we're talking to you right now, it's Friday, and the college baseball season starts today. The college baseball regular season is starting today. And that means we get to hear all the great creative walk-up songs that these college kids line up. Shout out to the college baseball announcer Darren Vaught, who compiled a list, D-Day, of the walk-up songs for the entire roster, various teams across the country. It's been shared, the list of the walk-up songs that you can see. And to me, and I know you are passionate about this subject, the key to a good walk-up song, 2 things. Number 1, finding a song you genuinely like, because you're the one that has to hear it a lot for the next few months. But secondly, a crowd pleaser. Something that gets the crowd going as well, ideally, would be the perfect mix. Since I'm an Orioles fan, I'll give you an example of the most popular walk-up song that Baltimore has. Their best player, Gunnar Henderson, his walk-up song is the Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani. So what makes that great is you start hearing, see if you can pull that song very quickly, Mondo, we just need to hear the very beginning of it. All right? So you can picture what I'm talking about here and why it's an electric choice for a walk-up song. You need to picture yourself at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The best player on the team is walking to the plate, and this is what you hear when he's introduced. The PA announcer says, "Number 2, Gunnar Henderson." You hear that? And you already know, even before the announcement's made, right around this time you hear, "Number 2, Gunnar Henderson." And then the entire crowd goes, "Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!" And that's what makes it a good walk-up song. All right, D-Day, thank you for obliging me on that there. What makes a great walk-up song? I know you've combed a lot of these songs that have been chosen by the college kids, and this is a passion project of yours.
It is, because I think about this all the time. And, sometimes it's less about walk-up songs for baseball and more about like a pro wrestling entrance, but I think there's similarities in the two of them. There's also similarities in what you personally decide as this is relatable to us for the opening of your show. Like you have Passion Pit take a walk. Linnell has Death of Auto-Tune. And something that you need to have in a walk-up song, something that Gunnar Henderson has in his walk-up song, as you just mentioned, it needs to be recognizable in the first 2 seconds of the song. Everybody in the arena, everyone in the crowd should know who's coming up to the plate. So like when you hear Gunnar Henderson's, you hear that first 2 seconds and you know, all right, here comes our guy. We got to get ready. We got to get activated. In the world of professional wrestling, you hear the first 2 beats of a song and you realize something might go sideways here in a good way. Something might get awesome. So you got to take that into consideration when you're coming up with a walk-up song. It can't be too slow. But it also needs to punch you in the first 2 seconds. You don't just want crazy out of the gate. It needs a defined first 2 seconds.
See, when I'm choosing a karaoke song.
Exactly. You hear that glass shatter, game over. That crowd's losing its mind.
Oh, my God! When I'm choosing a karaoke song, something else I like is to choose a song that you might not expect me to choose based on my characteristics. So I have a rule when it comes to karaoke. Here's a rule. Never sing the same song twice. So you associate memories with a certain song on a given night, right? Chosen some Akon songs at karaoke from time to time. But if I were going to apply that logic to a walk-up song, here are 3 songs I might pick. Plain Jane by A$AP Ferg.
It's a good one. Didn't think that was on your catalog, but I appreciate it.
Ride with the Mob. Yeah, that's one that we could go with. Knuck If You Buck by the Crime Mob.
Yeah.
Okay. And Shaba by Ferg. Those might be the
I don't know
3
that I've
songs.
heard that last one. I would need to hear it.
Just look up the first few lyrics to that song. Do not pull that and play that. By the way, Mondo.
So it's dirty.
Yeah.
It's a TVMA song.
Yeah, I just want you to read the first few lyrics. Now, don't say it out loud, but you might understand why it might be a song
What is the name of the song?
Shaba by A$AP Ferg. I just realized that I have 2 A$AP Ferg songs. I like A$AP Ferg. What do you want me to tell you? Don't know.
I think he's just Ferg now. He dropped the A$AP.
Oh, did he drop? Okay. Well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
310-4.
I can see this.
Yeah. 310-840-4910. Some characteristics. Did you have songs that you would pick as your walk-up song if you play baseball, since you've thought a lot about this?
You got to go Family Ties. Kendrick Lamar, Baby Keem starts right out of the gate with trumpets. One of my favorite entrances in baseball over the last 10 years or so was Edwin Diaz coming out of the bullpen.
Well, hold one sec. That is an entrance. That is a pitcher entrance.
That's an entrance.
I don't know if we call that a walk-up song.
I think it might be
songs
the
you walk
same.
up to the plate, maybe.
Because that one gets you. But Family Ties got the trumpets right out of the gate, hooks you. You're like, all right, I know it's about
going
to
to appeal to Mondo's sensibilities. When Kenley Jansen played for the Dodgers and they play California Love as he's being introduced, like there are a few things like Dodger Stadium when California Love's playing and Kenley Jansen is about to come into the game. I actually watched him on the 4th of July close out my Orioles one time. It's a thing that happened. It's the only time I've been to a game at Dodger Stadium. It was a complete accident, too. I visited my brother out that way, and I said, hey, I've never been to Dodger Stadium. I want to go to a game. And it happened to be the 4th of July, and they're playing the Orioles. I show up to the ballpark, and Vin Scully appears on the screen right before the game starts and says, the last time that the Dodgers faced the Orioles at Dodger Stadium was in 1965, the World Series. Because that's when interleague play wasn't what it is now, where you play everybody every year. So, just got lucky that the Orioles were in town for the first time in 50 years, and boom, went to go see them lose to the Dodgers that night. Or what is it that we should be calling them, Mondo?
Los Dodgers.
Thank you.
So that's a real thing. I thought that was a bit. Like, you ever see white people get tattoos in a different language, and then you meet somebody that actually speaks that language, and they're like, that is not what that tattoo says? Is that a real thing, Mondo, or are you just setting Linnell up in his newfound Dodger fandom to fail?
No, it's legit. It's legit.
Okay. Good to know. I was just curious.
I used to have a shirt that said Los Dodgers on it.
Because it would be hilarious if he just goes around saying something that he thinks is a natural thing that Dodgers fans say that is absolutely wrong.
Mondo, you need to get something from the Dodger organization, like out that way. Get something Dodgers for Linnell either to have or to wear. That's your homework assignment. See if you can get a goodie bag from the Dodgers Stadium, to send to Linnell. I mean, just ask Magic Johnson. I mean, he owns the Washington Commanders too. He should love Linnell.
I got to be honest. If I'm talking to Magic Johnson, that's very low on the totem pole of things that I'm going to talk to Magic Johnson about.
Going to ask him about his Twitter?
Yes, actually.
Coming up, you'll hear from two of the worst teammates in all of sports. This is Westwood One Sports Night.
Next year's biggest NFL story starts now.
Westwood One, baby!
We're getting the first reps of next season. Buckle up. The road to week 1 just opened on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
This would be a good baseball walk-up. Last call for phone calls, 310-840-4910. Let's go to Bruce in L.A., closing the book on our baseball conversation. Now's the time to get excited. It's, spring training starting, and didn't even mention the World Baseball Classic's a few weeks away. Got the ABS challenge system in effect. College baseball starts today. The vibes are good, Bruce. How are you?
Good. Nice to talk to you, Josh. I really enjoyed the Super Bowl, but I'm so glad that you guys are talking about baseball now because I can't wait for the regular season to open in about 5 weeks. But I am really afraid of the storm clouds that are over baseball right now regarding collective bargaining. And I think this time it's going to be a serious. No, come on, Josh.
It's going to make me sad.
I know, but you know what? I'm sad, man. That's why I called in. The thing is that this time the owners mean business. This time the owners mean business because the model doesn't work anymore. The only thing, there's only 4 or 5 teams that can survive, that can compete for players now. Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox, Cubs, maybe 1 or 2 more, and the rest of the teams can't compete. And the players are going to have to make some concessions regarding a salary cap. They're the only major North American sport without a salary cap. And I'm just praying that they do, man, or we're in for a big problem in March of 2027.
I'm with you, but man, the vibes. We were vibing. There goes Bruce in Los Angeles, and now that's to quote the dude in The Big Lebowski. This is a bummer, man. All that he said's true. The one thing I find solace in is the sport has so much positive momentum that I think the owners understand how much damage 94 did and that they need to figure it out. So they're incentivized to do that. And the players are incredibly incentivized too, because unlike, let's say, the WNBA might have a strike. There might be a work stoppage of some sorts with the WNBA looking to have their own union or have their own CBA, which they don't have. The WNBA, those athletes make more playing overseas than they do in the United States with the W, which is part of the problem that they have, understandably so. But they have an option. If you're a Major League Baseball player, there aren't enough respectable baseball leagues that can house this many quality players. And if they do play somewhere else, you're not getting paid remotely the sum. So they're incentivized, with their careers being pretty compact and short, to maximize the amount of money they can make while they play. There's both sides. That's what I find solace in, that both sides are incredibly motivated to try to get something done. They're not just worried about, hopefully, what's going to make them the most money. Kind of like the people we're about to talk about here. Actually, we'll ask the question, who's a worse teammate out of these two we're about to hear from? Two bad teammates right here. Let's start with Patriots defensive star Christian Barmore, who was mic'd up during the Super Bowl and said this.
You good, baby? Come on. You good, bro. You good. I know. Nah, that hurt, boy. That niggas, it wasn't us, bro. It's gonna sting for a little bit. It wasn't us, twin. It wasn't us, I swear. It was good. Now we just gotta build on it next year, bro. Keep getting better and better. We back in the lab.
If you don't understand what Christian Barmore was saying there, he kept saying, it wasn't us, dude. It wasn't us. As if to say, it was Drake May and the offense that cost them the Super Bowl. Wasn't the defense's fault whatsoever. Christian Barmore, turns out, not a good dude, not a good teammate. You want to Google Christian Barmore off the field? You can go ahead and do that. Do we need to remind Christian Barmore that Drake May was 1 vote short of the MVP? Wasn't us, dude. Wasn't us. Uh-huh. Got it. Then you got James Harden, who was talking about his reputation of being disloyal in the NBA, and he thought it was a good idea to go this path.
And the whole quote-unquote loyalty thing is, I think it's overrated. This is a business at the end of the day, and it's a lot of money involved and a lot of decisions that has to be made. Like if a player isn't producing, or if you don't see him in the future, or front office, some of them have to do like a job and want to keep their job, so they gotta feel like they gotta do what's best for to keep their job, and they trade players. Or if a guy isn't happy and he wants to be traded to somewhere else, then it's a problem. It's just so many different dynamics that go into it. This is a business at the end of the day. So not even just NBA, but like people that have normal job have those same problems. It's just not magnified.
James Harden, just reminding everyone, there ain't no loyalty in this game. Nah. Going out there making this money. That's what it's about. Got it. James Harden. There's a world-class teammate right there for everybody to see. Shout out to him. Didn't mention this, but did you see what LeBron did tonight, D-Day?
Triple-double. Ran it up.
28, 10, and 12. Only player in NBA history to record a triple-double at 41 years old. Did that tonight at Crypto or Staples, whatever you want to call it, out west. In about 15 minutes, we're going to bet on the Heisman Trophy winner for next year. Got those odds. And the reason we're going to be thinking about that now, Trinidad Chambliss, it seems, has his path to return to Ole Miss. Denied a couple of times in court or by the NCAA. Wins in state court in the state of Mississippi. Saw somebody put out there, missed opportunity by Ole Miss fans not to tailgate outside of the State House. That would have been fun. Fire up the cooker. Make a makeshift grove outside of the Mississippi State House. But he's back, it seems. So get ready this year. While the NFL draft doesn't feature a great bevy of quarterbacks, not seen to be an all that memorable draft class, aside from who's at the top of it and Fernando Mendoza, college football 2026, that's going to be the year of the quarterback. That's what it's going to be. There are several guys that we thought at this time last year we're not watching play in 2026. We thought Arch Manning was going to be number 1 pick in the NFL draft. He's returning for his redshirt junior season. He has Ryan Wingo and Auburn transfer Cam Coleman to throw the ball to. Dante Moore. Surprising that he returns when he was presumably going to be QB2 in the draft. Maybe gone in the first round. He returns, takes some more of Phil Knight's money at Oregon. Evan Stewart going to be back and healthy in a way that he wasn't this past year. Dylan Raiola is going to be waiting behind the wings. Whoa. There's a massive bug that just flew in front of one of my lights here. How'd that happen? Hey now. Trinidad Chambliss. We didn't expect him to be playing in college football. But here he is. Gets the favorable ruling from that Mississippi courthouse. In addition to the quarterbacks on half of the 4 semifinalists returning, looking at you, Chambliss, looking at you, Dante Moore, the Heisman runner-up at Ohio State's back as well. And you can make the case Julian Sayin was the best quarterback in college football during the regular season, and that Ohio State was the best team. He just didn't, Sayin just didn't get that credit because he didn't play enough in the fourth quarter of games. Ohio State was just running people. Just think about how fun it's going to be to watch Julian Sayin go up against Bryce Underwood in Michigan this year. The 2 finalists were Indiana and Miami. Darian Mensah wins an ACC title at Duke, now the Hurricanes quarterback with support. TCU's Josh Hoover is going to replace Fernando Mendoza. There are so many high-level quarterbacks this year. The list feels endless. If you want to talk about returners, guys who aren't portal guys, Jordan Miava, USC, CJ Carr, Notre Dame, Gunnar Stockton at Georgia, Marcel Reed at A&M, Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina, Kevin Jennings at SMU, Damon Williams at Washington. All of these guys are really, really good quarterbacks. And if you go the transfer path, Sam Leavitt, really good at Arizona State, now paired with Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin at LSU. Brendan Sorsby, good in the Big 12 Conference. The bug's back. And now it's climbing on the broadcast equipment that I have here. It's a huge bug. Part of me wants to turn the camera just to show you how big this bug is, D-Day. Now that we're on YouTube, Twitch, and X, look at how big this bug is. You see that there? On top of the dial? You see that thing?
Kill it.
Big bug. Well, I don't want to hit the machine. You
ain't got a precision flick?
I don't have a precision flick. I'm not like Rocco Becht following Matt Campbell from Iowa State to Penn State. I'm not like the aforementioned Brendan Sorsby. I'm not even like these mid-major guys that are making big jumps like Drew Mestemaker from North Texas to Oklahoma State, or Byron Brown following his coach, Alex Golish, from South Florida to Auburn. Oh, it's still moving. It's flying. And now it's on the actual light here. You got to see this if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, and X. It's a huge bug. It's taking up half this screen here. So, need to figure it out. Shout out to Pine Needle, who's writing in on the YouTube chat. That's up with us early here, saying crane fly. That's what it is. There you go. This caps the bug watch portion of the proceedings here. Over the span of this segment, I've named 19 quarterbacks that are good going into next year. And the way that this works, it's probably some guy I didn't name that's going to end up being like a Heisman frontrunner like Joe Burrow was when no one expected him to be what he was his second year at LSU, or Fernando Mendoza from Cal jumping in and then doing what he did with the Indiana Hoosiers. Quarterbacks, really good, but let's use this as a segue. We have the odds for the Heisman Trophy, to win the Heisman Trophy next year, and here's the thing. You're going to be really surprised who the actual favorite to win the award is. Graham's gambling. Next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Got the bug. There's a massive bug. Maybe it's a June bug flying around here in the studio. I got attracted to one of my lights. I hit the bug with my notebook here, which probably wasn't great because what matters more, the light or the bug that you're trying to hit? And for those watching on YouTube at Westwood One Sports Night, you can subscribe to our channel now where we're streaming video. Our X feed as well. Mine at Josh Graham Show. We're able to showcase the bug a little bit there. And shout out to Newsome Sports Atlanta, who writes in, I came over from radio just to see the bug. Ha ha. How about we deliver on Heisman odds for 2026? You might be surprised who the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy is. I know I was. Right now, it's time for Graham's Gambling.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know. It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Did you look it up?
I did. Had to search a little bit.
Were you surprised?
A little bit. Not a lot of it.
Carr, Notre Dame quarterback C.J. Carr is your betting favorite at 8-1 odds to win the Heisman Trophy.
A little surprising. Not a lot surprising, though.
Arch Manning next up at plus 950. Then Josh Hoover, 11-1. Those are not good odds for Josh Hoover. Jeremiah Smith with the same odds as Julian Sayin. That's actually not bad at 13-1 for Julian Sayin. I'm just saying. Huh. Dante Moore, 13-1. Darian Mensah, 15-1. Your guy, Sam Levitt, is 16-1. I don't like the value for any of those players. For me, it's like golf. If you want good value on something like this, it's got to be 25-1 or longer. So going through the list of quarterbacks that I felt that can win this thing, well, all of them are at the very top of the list, other than C.J. Carr. We were saying Julian Sayin, Arch Manning, Josh Hoover, Dante Moore. So in terms of value, probably going to sprinkle a little. In fact, I'll do that right now on Darian Mensah to win the Heisman Trophy. He was among my 5 players that I was considering at the very top, just in terms of liking the situation that he's in. There's a lot to like. So you're pretty much about the same odds. You're on Sam Levitt at 16-1. And I'm here waving my flag on Darian Mensah Island.
There are a couple other players that you could look at down the list if you want to go 25-1. Like you said.
Yeah.
Lenore Sellers, 35-1 in most books. Bryce Underwood, 33 to 1.
That's interesting. John
Damon
Mateer.
Williams, he was a big topic of conversation, 50 to 1.
We didn't even bring up John Mateer's name.
We don't need to.
And people thought he was the Heisman frontrunner going into November. He won that game against, who was it? Was it Michigan that he beat? And then they kind of pointed at him and said, oh, John Mateer's now the favorite. Or I guess that would have been going into October because he had the hand injury.
Yeah, once you saw him in the Texas game, you're like, all right, that's on us. We jumped the gun a little bit here.
Samuel Bruns writes in, also came over to see the bug. Let's go Orioles.
I feel like you have to show the bug again.
No, it was moving, and it's balled up in this piece of paper.
You scared of a zombie bug?
A little bit. Little afraid. Not gonna revisit that. Not gonna open it up. Aaron Philo, that's an interesting one. Bear Bachmeier, maybe? 80 to 1, anyone? Huh?
No.
Just throwing it out there. Kevin Jennings, 80 to 1. Rocco Beck, 65. If you want to go long shots. Nah, I'll bet on Darian Mensah. And another bet I'm about to make, it is insane to me that there are 10 teams you can get better odds for to win Super Bowl 61 than the San Francisco 49ers. Because I think they should be the favorites. 18 to 1 odds for the Niners to win the Super Bowl next year. Who, you know what? Last call for phone calls. We're about to ring the bell. Questions of the day. Let's revisit these. Who has a better case at winning the Super Bowl? Well, really, we asked 3 questions. Who do you think should be the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy? Tony Mack says Arch Manning should win the Heisman. Not going to argue against that. But the other questions, well, who should win? Who should be the favorite, listed as the favorite, to win Super Bowl 61? And how about, since everyone's talking about the halftime act from this past week more than the actual game, who should the halftime act be for next year's Super Bowl? You've got the Backstreet Boys pitching themselves to potentially be that act. If you want in on any of these 3 topics, last call for phone calls. 310-840-4910 is your ticket to the program. The case for the 49ers is this. The Niners went 12-5 and won a playoff game with a vastly shorthanded roster. No Bosa, no Fred Warner, no Mikael Williams, no Kittle at the end. Plus, many other depth players were lost to injured reserve. Yet there they were, Week 18, facing Seattle, 1 win away from winning the NFC West themselves. Going 12-5 in a division that featured the MVP with the Rams and the Seahawks that won the Super Bowl, that's impressive enough. And with all the injured parties returning, the Niners, they should be a dominant force. Bosa, Warner, Williams, Kittle all expected back. And you're not really supposed to lose anybody. With the only guys they're in danger of losing who are impending free agents, Jawan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne and Kyle Shanahan. You might say, well, Josh, they did lose Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator. That's a blow. Is it? Or did they upgrade? Raheem Morris, who was just fired in Atlanta, is a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. He was just hired to be Saleh's replacement. So at the very top, when you look at the finalists, the Seahawks, you want to talk about impending free agents. Kenneth Walker, Josh Jones at right tackle, Rashid Shaheed, Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Drake Thomas, Jake Bobo. They're among the free agents that they're in danger of losing. They did lose their offensive coordinator, a really big deal. The Patriots, they leaned so heavily into free agency last year. That's not really a sustainable thing moving forward. When you look at some of the other teams that are favored, The Eagles, they're making coordinator changes. They don't seem like they're on the upswing. The Buffalo Bills, when's the last time a first-year head coach won? Sorry? You think Joe Brady's going to do better than Sean McDermott is? I don't. No. And the Ravens, same deal. You let go of John Harbaugh, you think it's going to be better with a first-year coach and Jesse Minter? That's a big ask. A really big ask. The 49ers should be viewed as the favorites to win Super Bowl 61. Your thoughts welcome. 310-840-4910. When it comes to the halftime show, you would agree, D-Day. This is maybe the hottest take I have all night. You ready for it? Next year's halftime show, I feel almost certain in saying, is going to be in English. What is another option that isn't in English?
K-pop.
If it's not, go all in and go K-pop.
Go all in.
BTS,
go K-pop.
But even they have hits that they would play in English, right?
Yeah, they got some.
K-pop.
Are you talking? But are you talking exclusively English?
I didn't say that.
Oh, this year had English. Lady Gaga was in English because Lord knows she can't speak Spanish.
It will be majority English.
Lady Gaga's hips are tight as hell, bro.
Her what?
Her hips. She was salsa and she could not move, bro.
I like the halftime show. I'm just saying there's a lot of people talking about the halftime show, and I feel pretty confident saying they're probably going to pick an act that's in English this year. Probably. It's my guess. You know? And I think it's not going to be hip-hop or R&B. Prior to Bad Bunny, they had Kendrick, Usher, and Rihanna. I think it would be wise maybe to spread the wealth around. Now, I'm not saying go crazy, and I love country music. I'm in North Carolina. I don't think country has the large appeal that you're looking to make. Love Luke Combs. Big fan of Eric Church. That's not going to get the halftime show. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not going to be the Backstreet Boys. It's not going to be hip-hop or R&B. It's going to be something in English. Taylor Swift, she's going to get the first call. She'll turn it down, let's assume, for the rest of this conversation, because it's Taylor Swift's halftime show if she wants it. I think Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, Harry Styles going to be the pick. That's what I think. I'm going to go with those three. Who are your three? Well, you had categories. You were saying there's a safe pick, which was?
The safe pick would be Dua Lipa, pop sensation.
You had a
growth
pick.
That
probably would never happen.
Well, the growth pick was the K-pop.
Okay.
Expanding audiences. Because, I don't know that there's an Australian rock band. They're playing a game in Australia. But I don't know I don't know what Aussie music sounds like, if that's a thing. If somebody knows what Australian music sounds like, please send us some links. The crazy would be Kanye. They're not going to do it.
No.
But the crazy thing would be put Kanye West on American soil with a live microphone.
Yeah. Do it. Or if you are the folks at Turning Point and you're really trying to get the numbers up, take your cameras to wherever Kanye can perform and just press play.
Well, they already have Nicki Minaj.
See what's going to happen.
They got their mascot. So she'll be on that show.
Does Kanye and Cardi have, or not Cardi? I get Cardi B mixed up with Nicki Minaj. Sorry, that's a bit. Nicki Minaj. Did Nicki and Kanye ever do a song together?
She was on the song. She was on the his comeback album after the Taylor Swift debacle. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Monster, great verse.
Oh, that's right. Was on Monster. Great call.
Thank you.
If we were doing a draft of next year's who the act's going to be, did I take any of your picks of who is most likely to get it? Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, Harry Styles.
Harry Styles, I would have taken pretty. If I was building a draft board, right? It's draft season. If I was building a draft board, Harry Styles would be pretty high up on the list. I like the Bieber thing is interesting because he has tons of hits. Like he got a wealth of stuff, a bag, as the kids say. But his Grammy performance was like the first time he performed in 3 years, 40 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he wants to come back to. I don't know that he would want to do a Super Bowl. I don't know what the reason why he wasn't performing was, if there was a reason. Maybe he was just taking a rest. I have no idea. I'm not deep on the Bieber.
He's been putting out hits in that time, though. I mean, he was putting out Peaches and a handful of others. He's got songs that are good.
I think Peaches is a little bit older than you think it is, but that is a good song. That song's going to make you feel old. I think that came out in like 2020.
No.
Yeah, I think that song came out a little while ago.
Wow. Peaches came out. I got my peaches out in Georgia.
2021. It's like 5 years old. That's crazy that song's that old.
About there. Yeah, that is kind of nuts. Okay, so Biebs, and you didn't care much for my suggestion of Miley.
No,
that's actually the betting favorite in Polymarket.
I don't trust Polymarket. That's a me versus them situation.
It's on FanDuel too. Miley Cyrus.
Oh, our guy Newsom has a good one. Ed Sheeran could bring out a lot of people.
Here's the problem.
He's not rock enough though.
That's it. Like Adele apparently was offered the Super Bowl halftime show 10, 11 years ago, and she turned it down, having the self-awareness, which is not something you see a lot in that industry, to say, you know what, my music doesn't fare all that well. One of my favorite bands is Coldplay. Coldplay, not great for the halftime show. Just not a great fit for their music, their vibe. It's more of like a limestone type of rock, and that's not what generally plays on that show. And Adele and Ed Sheeran, don't think that's going to hit.
Hear me out. Crazy idea. Not as crazy as Kanye West with a live microphone on American soil. Crazy idea. It's Kelly Clarkson, but she's just doing covers of everybody. Because Kelly Clarkson, one of the best cover artists of all time.
Here's the thing. It's kind of the appeal of Miley Cyrus. Because she's been doing a lot of that lately. And
she got that raspy voice now, which I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
She can do some good covers with the rasp.
With the rasp. NBA versus the world. Let's talk about it. Next.
This Saturday, two of the SEC's hottest teams collide. Number 25, Kentucky. Number 14, Florida. 3 Eastern tip on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
NBA versus the world. This isn't going to work. NBA All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles. This is going to be an outright disaster. The whole thing. Well, let's just talk about the concept first. If the players don't care, why should we? They already barely care about regular season games. That's why you have the Pacers and the Jazz getting fined $500K apiece for not playing key players in the fourth quarter, intentionally trying to lose basketball games. But look at what the NBA did. It's blatant. They saw that the NHL had success last year with the Four Nations face-off. So they said, you know what? Let's scrap our All-Star game format and do the same thing. That'll get the guys caring. Let's have USA versus the world. The problem is, hockey players do generally care about games. You know how you have load management in the NBA and we have to listen to NBA people tell us, well, there's so much strain that are on guys. You can't expect them to play on back-to-back nights. And you got to take it careful. You got to be careful. It's a different game now that puts so much strain on guys versus the 90s, as if the medicine and the training staffs aren't worlds better than when guys were flying commercial, yet still playing in all 82 games decades ago. But even if you want to say and make that case, it's so much of a strain now. Hockey players don't load manage, and their schedule's 82 games as well. And that sport, a lot more physically taxing, a lot more dangerous than basketball is. Those guys care to play. Those guys are competing. And even when it's a friendly or an all-star type of format, you got Team USA and Team Canada fighting during that Four Nations last year. It was a spectacle. It was an event. This generation of load managers, they killed the All-Star game, or at least killed All-Star weekend, because nobody really cares anymore. It's not cool to care about the All-Star game. LeBron never participated in the dunk contest, even though that's what the fans wanted, and even though Michael Jordan did it and other stars did it. No. LeBron's above that, right? Got it. Here was Kevin Durant earlier in the week when asked about him and his generation of players, the perception that they killed the All-Star game.
Look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic now. Let's go back and look at what they do in the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're going to question the old heads and the Americans. But these two dudes out there, Luka and Jokic, they don't care about the game at all. These dudes be laying on the floor, they shoot from half court, but you got to worry about the old heads playing hard. I can read between the lines, bro. And I'm just thinking a lot of times, I'm just saying that I can read between the lines. And it's not just about you, it's just an overall topic that everybody's been talking about. You just happen to ask me that question.
This is, again, so bad for the NBA. And it's hard. They're trying. But what can the NBA do if guys just don't care? Listen, Kevin Durant had a chance there to make a plea saying, hey, I do care. And I know other guys who care. And you know what? We're going to compete, and it's going to be... But instead, what KD does is, why is everybody just talking about us not caring? They don't care either. What? What kind of a defense is that? What kind of defense is, well, no one talks about Jokic and Doncic not caring? If you're Adam Silver and you hear that clip, what are you thinking? Great. Our new USA versus the world concept. And here's one of the most noteworthy American players defending the All-Star game, but not really, by saying that the world players don't care either. Great. It's exactly what we want. And the league does deserve blame in this regard. They botched the format. They needed to completely... You remember the clip of Kevin Garnett seeing the late, great Craig Sager wearing one of his outlandish pink outfits at the All-Star game one time, or at one game? You remember this clip where Garnett was giving Craig Sager advice and say, you take every piece of clothing you got on and you take it off and you burn it. You burn it. We never see this again. You burn this crap. I can't keep any of it, none of it. Butt naked. The NBA needed to burn anything resembling that format they had last year. That round robin crap. Are you kidding me? They're keeping that. Like, it would make sense, and it'd be commendable if the NBA just went out there and said, you know what, we're going to have a USA versus the world 48-minute game. Let's go. That's at least commendable. Would it work? I don't know. But it's commendable. Doing a 3-team round robin with 12-minute games with the young USA stars and the US OGs and the world team, no one's going to watch that. And no one's going to care, including those competing in it. But to be fair, again, want to defend the NBA players a little bit. The NBA, they've already prioritized the in-season tournament. Why do you need All-Star Weekend when you have the in-season tournament already? You got the NBA Cup, and that actually is starting to gain some traction. Don't do something stupid and bring it to Cameron Indoor Stadium, by the way. It just would be really dumb if you do something like that. Get the thought behind it, but go somewhere else that doesn't hold just 8,000 people and resembles a high school gym at points. Love Cameron Indoor, by the way. My favorite place maybe to watch a college basketball game. Either that or Allen Fieldhouse. But when you have the in-season tournament and you have players starting to care about that, maybe it's just time to ditch the All-Star game. And maybe it doesn't make sense to have one. I mean, we don't have one in the NHL. The NFL plays dodgeball. Maybe just have the All-Star game be a Major League Baseball thing, because that still remains an All-Star game that people like and that matters. But the NBA All-Star game, if it isn't already dead, this weekend is when it officially dies. D-Day, am I being too hard on the NBA or on the players?
I think you're missing the point of what Durant is trying to say, but I think otherwise you are correct. There's no way to salvage something that guys don't care about.
Well, what was I missing on the Durant front? Because it seemed that he didn't like the accusation that the OGs were the guys that ruined the All-Star game. And the way that he's making that point is by pointing out that Europeans should also be accused of
how many times have you heard Luka or Jokic be asked about it?
I don't know if they have or haven't. Probably
exactly.
None.
None. Exactly.
But here's the thing.
That's the reason.
I know. But that's still not productive. Why does it matter if they're being asked about it?
Because they're the ones that brought this lackluster attitude.
Well, Kevin didn't necessarily say that they cared. He just made a point to say that there are other people who should be criticized too. Not necessarily defending that they care about it.
No, he's not going to lie. No one is saying that they care. Everyone knows they do not care. What his argument is why am I the only person asked about it when the real trigger point of this thing becoming completely blown to dust is some of the European, like Jokic does not care. We know that. He does not care. He doesn't even care about the playoffs. That guy wants to be with his horses. That's his point.
The All-Star game, by the way, the All-Star game's never been good. Can we start obviously there? The All-Star game, what made the NBA All-Star weekend special from baseball, what made it distinguish itself is you had the All-Star festivities. You had the dunk contest. You had the three-point contest. And that was the real heart and soul of All-Star weekend. And it is the old heads like Kevin Durant that killed that. LeBron James not participating in the dunk contest at any point of his career, or, guys just
I would
feel
argue
like they were
Dwayne
above
Wade
that.
is the party most responsible for killing All-Star Weekend. He clearly robbed Aaron Gordon, which was the last great dunk contest because he gave him a 9 when he should have given him a 10. And then Aaron Gordon said, this is not for me anymore. And the dunk contest hasn't been good in 10 years because of it. So if you want to point at Dwayne Wade and say you killed All-Star Weekend, I think there is a valid point of criticism.
You're just not going to criticize LeBron for not participating in the dunk contest?
No. You act like he needed to. There were other great dunk contests.
He doesn't need to, but Michael didn't need to either. I'm just saying.
This is the Jordan LeBron reach that you're just trying to put him in that box. Like, the dunk contests were fine until the Aaron Gordon thing. At no point was I watching Aaron Gordon and been like, man, I wish that LeBron was in here.
No.
Well, they tried some stupid little trends where they did like a team thing. That was dumb.
Yeah. And the reason why they did it is because they couldn't get stars. People follow LeBron's lead. And when LeBron says he's not going to do it, well, then it's not cool to do it. If LeBron does it, I bet you other stars do it.
They had stars in that contest. The team aspect was a John Wall. Paul George was in there. it was just a team thing, so nobody remembers it, and it was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no real winner.
Yeah, I blame the old heads for ruining All-Star Weekend. I will defend the players that the game has never been good. So people who are saying, back in the 90s, the All-Star game bumped. No, it didn't. The game was never good. But the weekend with the dunk contest, that's what made it different than other All-Star games. And when players felt they were above that, that's when the heart and soul of the weekend went away, and they're not going to recapture it this weekend. And especially when you got the Kawhi aspiration stuff hanging over this entire thing. Like that, how the league chooses to handle that is going to be a fascinating deal because it's unavoidable. All-Star Weekend is at the Intuit Dome. It's Steve Ballmer's party. Kawhi Leonard was a commissioner's choice, which means, hey, you're going to have to talk to the media, Kawhi. You're an all-star. You got to talk. And Steve Ballmer's probably going to be made available at some point. Obviously, the commissioner. And this isn't media day for the Clippers anymore, where they can choose friendly questioners and try to rip the microphone out of Ramona Shelburne's hands. This is going to be run by the NBA. And I just wonder, I'll ask you, how much do people care about this topic anymore?
About the Kawhi stuff? Well, they don't care about the games, so it's not like the games took away any appeal from it. We just need new information.
Pablo had some stuff about the trainer, Kawhi's trainer at San Diego State being in touch with the Clippers back in 2018 and apparently having a deal together that he'd be part of the Clippers training staff if Kawhi joined, which is blatant tampering prior to Kawhi, 2 years prior to Kawhi becoming a free agent in 2019. So there was some stuff earlier this week that dropped. But again, the question is, how much do people really care? It's clear Ballmer cheated, but it didn't work. They just traded Zubac and Harden away. And if you're a fan, you'd probably be more mad at the owners not trying to win, actively not trying to win, than those that are trying everything they can. Like what you hear from a lot of executives in sports about this topic, they would have loved working for Steve Ballmer because Steve Ballmer would be trying to do everything he could to try to win. Not defending cheating, but I do wonder if we've reached an exhaustion point with this without there being a clear smoking gun to say, that's what's going to stick. And now you got to be punished.
I'm defending cheating. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Find the loopholes.
Make it happen. All right. What do we got and put it to bed today?
There is a new Hooters, or Hooters equivalent, but it's for women. And odds are, Josh, you and I have both been there. So I'll tell you about that next.
The season's over, but the NFL news never stops. Training camp hits in 153 days. And yes, we're counting. The NFL lives here on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
You talking about K-pop bands. Apparently, something called Cordis, a K-pop group, was brought out onto the floor at the Lakers-Mavs game tonight. They're going to perform halftime of the All-Star Celebrity Game.
Time is coming for the K-pop.
Super Bowl halftime? Get BTS, Cordis, and Shohei Ohtani and his dog out there. Make it happen.
It's Demon Hunter season, baby.
Like all the suggestions. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch the show. It's an easy way to get immediate reaction. You can jump into our comments and engage with the show. We're going to put it to bed in just a second. On tomorrow's program, I honestly don't know what the hell we're doing. I know we got Free for All Friday. I feel pretty comfortable saying that Ariel Epstein is going to be a guest with us on the show. But other than that, I'm being told the possibilities are endless. I'm being told it could be Scott Graham of Westwood One Sports or my dad, Scott Graham, who joins the show. It could be Ryan McGee of ESPN. Like, there's a laundry list of guests as maybes for tomorrow's show, or I guess later tonight's show. And whoever joins the program, it's going to be good. And I guess this is like one of those things. Like, if we have a ton of guests tomorrow, D-Day, perhaps this show serves as the pre-tsunami water, the tide going way out, because we had no guests on today's show. 4 hours, no guests, but then the tsunami hits, and it's guests! And a lot of calls on Free for All Friday.
Just load the box. You know what I mean? What's the worst that could happen? It's a fun Friday.
I was about to say, I actually don't know what you mean, but that's
put everybody in the box.
Right. I'm glad that people finally get to see your face and understand what we get to look at all the time.
Thanks. I did my makeup.
Is that a quarter zip?
It is.
Why is it zipped so far up is the question.
This is not. It's zipped literally all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I expected a lot deeper V.
No, this is quite literally as deep as it goes. I don't
Understood.
zip up. Who zips up quarter zips?
No, it happens. It happens where generally people who wear it while they run because it's cold outside, they're zipping it up for maximum warmth. That's a thing.
Wear hoodies. Hoodies are much more comfortable to run in my
That's
experience.
True, because it helps protect the ears and such. That's key. Beanie Josh certainly makes an appearance when
Are you a runner?
we're jogging.
We could do a show 5K.
Really good. I have in the studio here, other side of the room, on the side that has the television, the couch, there's a Peloton in here. So while Linnell is meal prep king, I'm Peloton king, even though I've maybe ridden that Peloton twice in the last 2 weeks.
So no running?
Not as much, no.
I do a
used to be
charity
a really
show
good runner.
5K. It'd be great.
But I go on walks with Willow the dog. A lot of walks with Willow the dog. She's the
Close
queen.
enough.
Okay, let's close things out by putting this show to bed.
So I came across a crazy story. It came from the New York Post, so take this with as big of a grain of salt as you would like to. There is a new Hooters equivalent for women, Josh. And I was stunned to find out that not only had I been to this establishment, in a previous iteration of my life, I was a summer camp counselor. So I've taken children on a field trip to this establishment. According to the New York Post, the modern-day Hooters equivalent for women, did you say Panera Bread?
Yes.
What kind of field trip would that be?
I don't know. There's a place that is like a restaurant that's like a field trip. Mondo, do you have any guesses what this might be? I love the idea of trying to guess.
It should be glaringly obvious.
Is it a Long John Silver?
Chuck E. Cheese?
Medieval times? Y'all never been to medieval times?
Oh, cool.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah, I would have bet so much money that you would have been to medieval times.
Have you seen
Is
Cable
this
Guy?
regional?
No, they're everywhere.
Medieval times?
Yeah, medieval times. It's like a show, it's dinner. They're on horses. It's like play fighting. It's like pro wrestling, but way less cool.
They give you a whole chicken to eat
I've
with your hands.
never heard of this.
It's funny you mentioned that, Mondo, because I literally would we would go on field trips to medieval times when I worked as a summer camp counselor. And this is really great parenting because the amount of children that did not want to eat the chicken with their hands because their parents had taught them that they could not eat with their hands was legitimately astonishing. With that said, I also had about 8 chicken legs the last time that I went there because all of the kids were like, I can't go.
See, I count 10 locations. So you went to Baltimore?
Anne Arundel, I think, is technically where it is. Yeah.
Okay. So it's Atlanta, Baltimore, Buena Park, California, Chicago, Dallas, someplace in New Jersey, Myrtle Beach. Okay, I probably could have saw something in Myrtle Beach. Orlando, Scottsdale, and Toronto. Those are the spots for medieval times.
They got to
expand.
expand.
You recommend?
I mean, it's a fun experience. I enjoyed it. The food is very, it's quality.
How expensive is this?
Probably like $45, $50.
That's a lot more expensive than...
I mean, you're getting 5 courses.
It's $76 per, $85 in tax, or including tax.
Yeah, but you get a picture, too.
You get a picture, you get a complimentary cup.
Who's dropping $85 at Hooters?
I mean, it depends how horny you are.
You mean thirsty or hungry?
No, I said what I said. We're late enough.
She has a great personality, okay?
I don't even think we need to lie about that. We know what we go to Hooters for.
There used to be an NBA announcer that when he visited my state would only meet me at Hooters. That's the only place. Like, it was across the street from his hotel. So he said, if you want to meet me one place, I'm walking across the street to Hooters. And that's the only spot that we'd hang out when he was in town.
He just happened to always be there at that hotel in an area of the country that I'm sure has multiple hotels.
That's where the team would always be. And we'd walk across the street, go to the hotel. And Mike Breen was that cool of a guy. Bang! No, it wasn't Mike, but... Because he would never be in town broadcasting the Hornets. Or I guess he would if he was with the Knicks, with MSG. So I'll just let that sit. And you can imagine your favorite NBA announcer saying, yeah, I'll hang out, but only if it's a Hooters.
I can't believe you've never even heard of Medieval Times. I thought it was a much bigger deal. It's because there's a bunch of jacked men that are play fighting.
Yeah. You've never seen Cable Guy with Jim Carrey?
I have.
They go to Medieval Times.
Come on, movie guy.
Yeah. When they battle each other?
They have great apple turnovers.
I didn't put that together. Have you seen Cable Guy as well, D-Day?
No, but I've been to Medieval Times 3 times.
Oh, okay. You're right. There is a scene where Jim Carrey is dressed.
Twice for work. I got to get paid to go to Medieval Times. Although one year they didn't have the apple turnovers, and that made me upset. They had, like, lemon bars.
They do themes, too, like dragon soup. And it's actually just like tomato soup.
Yeah, we see Pine Needle. I feel like a degenerate. I used to blow $100 at Hooters, no problem.
See? Save some money. Go to Medieval Times. Now, Medieval Times is not meant for him, but...
Should I ride the Peloton before bed? Is that a good idea?
No. Because don't you got to be up at like 10?
Advocated against it.
Yeah, you get up early.
Have to be...
You got a full-blown human to raise.
That's true, but my wife's on morning duty tomorrow. So. Or today. But I probably should get some sleep. Probably should do that. All right, everyone. A lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Just tell us the name of your favorite obscure wrestler. Write it in the comments. Or on the 5-star review if you don't know what else to say. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That's been put at the bed with D-Day. From D-Day, and the tallest Latino in Sports Talk Mondo. My name's Josh Graham, and this has been Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.